higher up the ground.
Scott, Neil Cross here. A week like no other, obviously. As a coaching group, have you tried to get the players to leave that behind now and just totally focus on the game? And how successful do you think you've been to leave that side of things that's happened off the ground?
Yeah, well, it's only really been the last couple of days, so it certainly wasn't early in the week. There's basically the entire playing group and coaches not knowing anything about it till the last few days, and it's an unknown. It's certainly something you just don't want to park and leave behind. You've sort of got to, you have to talk about it. You've got to accept what's happened and progress as a club and as players as well. But it's all we can go on, whether it will impact us tonight, is that the SANFL team went out and played some terrific football. The boys are in here now. They're up and about. You can tell they're on their toes. They're keen for the contest. They're keen to get out there and play. I guess time will tell if it's had any impact on the senior team.
We've talked a lot about the tactics and what you might do tonight, but is it more about your side of things and your gradual improvement that you're looking for in the Crows for what is a young squad, rather than sort of just trying to battle everything that Port is able to do?
Yeah, well, it's probably been like that all year, I would say. Like we've got obviously our game plan. We've got the X's and O's, how we want to move the ball, how we want to defend, structures around stoppage or kick-ins, and at the same time we're developing the individual as much as we possibly can as well. So, in the past we've had Scheinberg play on some really good midfielders. We've used Berry in that role, even though he's not playing tonight, on some really good midfielders as well. Once again, you got Murray. I'll analyse obviously our team defence, but certainly his 1v1 battle with Ever, who he gets tonight, is what we'll be focusing on a lot, I guess, from reviewing or previewing games. So we're in that balancing act at this point in time. Where we're at as a club, as a list, we certainly need those individual players to develop, because if we get them playing to the best of their ability, that's certainly going to help the way we want to play structurally.
Scott, thanks for your time on Grandstand AFL. Best of luck tonight.
Thanks, boys.
Adelaide assistant coach Scott Burns there joining us on Grandstand AFL ahead of Bounce Down for Showdown 50. It's Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams with you for the game, and there's no late changes here as well. So the medical subs have been named. For the Crows, Ben Davis. For the Power, Todd Marshall. So in terms of the overall changes, Adelaide welcome Braden Cook in for his debut. Riley Thilthorpe back into the side. James Rowe, Sam Berry, Taylor Walker omitted. For the Power, Robbie Gray, the 5-time Showdown medalist, is back into the side. Todd Marshall moving to the medical sub. Boyd Woodcock has been omitted. The text line, if you'd like to get in touch with us, 0467 922 891. But we can head straight back downstairs because we can move into the Port Adelaide camp. Their coach, Ken Hinkley, can join us ahead of Bounce Down on Grandstand AFL. Welcome, Ken.
No problems.
Big inclusion for you tonight. Robbie Gray back into the 22. The side shaping up nicely for finals, but how important is his inclusion tonight?
Yeah, anytime you get a player of Rob's quality back in your team, it's obviously a good thing. And we shouldn't expect too much from Robbie, because we do know in this game that it takes you a little bit to get going, no matter how good a player you are. And it just takes a little bit of time to build in. So I think the important part was getting Rob into the team as quick as we could, so we could start to get him going.
And it did force Todd Marshall out of the side. In terms of playing 5 tools, did you feel like that was a success in the past month?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it gives us some great options now going forward, because we know we can handle it, we know we can deal with it from a performance point of view. So I think initially we've done it a few times this year, and I'd say over the course of those times, I'd say playing the ball was working in our favour more often than not. So we do believe that we can play it, but at the moment on tonight's game, we feel like the balance is right.
Kenny, Stephen Williams here, mate. Congratulations on the season so far. You've certainly got the team in a really good position to contend again. You must be really pleased, particularly over the last 3 or 4 weeks, with the wins against sides that maybe weren't in the 8, but if you look at their form, particularly going on last week's win against the Giants, which is a terrific win, and then to see them go down to Geelong last night and have a pretty impressive win themselves. Yeah,
I think you're right, Stephen. I think we've played some really good, solid football, particularly over the last month. And we've had to do that a little with our personnel being challenged, and really proud of the way the boys have been able to stick at it, and the squad's been able to get through the season so far and get the results that we need to put ourselves, in a pretty strong position. Albeit we've still got to maximise that position. With the players that are now starting to come back into the side, I think and hope that our best form is still in front of us.
And some of the younger players, obviously, Dersma, Butters, Rosie, get a lot of media attention, but a couple of others, Willem Drew, you missed him for the whole season last year, and the way he's come back into your side, you must be so pleased you've stuck with him and he's become one of the real quality midfielders.
Yeah, he has been a really important part in that group, with Travis and Ollie getting a significant amount of attention that Drewy gets to probably tag along as the third string and gets to do his job. But he's such a good pressure player for us. He puts a lot of pressure on the opposition. He's had to work and wait a long time for his opportunity to come through injury mainly, because we always thought he could play a bit. And he certainly showed this year with a clean run at it that he's actually got AFL football about him. And he's a long-term player for the footy club. And he's not only that, he's a good leader of our players too. He's he's only young, but he's a very good leader of our team.
Ken, Rod Jamieson, Carl Amon too is another player. I'm just so impressed as the way he's performed and continues to get better.
Yeah, he has, Rod. He's improved every year. He's been in the system, and that's what you love from your players. The ones who put in an enormous amount of work. And Carl's one of the absolute hardest working players you'll ever see at any AFL club. He's had to improve his game from every season he's been at our footy club. He's had to challenge himself to keep growing, and now he's grown to the point where he gets mentioned and talked about a little bit amongst the All-Australian names, which is thoroughly deserved. He's an impressive player for us. Now he can play inside and outside. He can play forward as well as mid, and he can hit the scoreboard for us when we really need it. So his growth as a player is testament to the boys who work with him, our coaches who work with him, and the time that he puts into his game.
With the game, a more broader question though, Ken, to yourself, is it getting harder to coach? The experience that you glean for the longer that you're in the competition, but I guess, players increasing aerobic ability, the way they use the football, the congestion. Is it getting harder to coach the game?
I'm not sure, Rod. You probably. I don't think it's harder to coach. It's more challenging to coach, and I think one of the bigger challenges with coaching the game is, the cuts and the slashes of the football departments that probably create the bigger challenges to coaching the game, because the players still demand lots of time. They still need lots of time, and to maximise their talent, you've got to give them that time. You've got to have, people available to work with them all the time, and the hours that you have to put in with them is significant, because you've got to consider you're not only just doing your own plays, you're doing opposition. There's a lot of preparation time. And most footy departments are doing that with less players or people who have been done a personal sacrifice to be able to keep us together, and that's what we've pretty much had to do at our club.
Ken, it's Neil Cross here. Just a question about your defensive lineup and Tom Cleary missing out. Where's he at the moment in terms of your thinking? Is it just a matter of you've got the back six working so well in his absence that you just don't need him at the moment? Is it as simple as that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty honest, Neil. I think that's the fact. At the start of the year, we were doing it without Trent McKenzie. Trent played, I think, up until about round 9. He was playing in the sample with the Magpies and doing really well. They're playing great footy. But Clubs and Alir's come in, that's taken away a spot, and Jonas is the captain, that's certainly owned their spot. So it is a matter of just being patient and waiting a little bit for Clubs. It's a healthy position to be in for our fullback. We were stretched up the front a little bit with some of the injuries we had, but down back we've always had pretty good availability of our key back particularly, and it just makes it hard sometimes.
So do you look now that you're in a situation where these players like Robbie Gray and that are coming back, that it's helped you to develop your depth this season, the stress you've been under, and now you've got a perfect position to run to the finals? Is that the mentality that you're in now?
Yeah, we think we've earned our position, through the squad, and the squad have all had to take a turn and play a role for us. We've used a lot of people in those roles, and I think that's credit to the group. And but as you said, some of the players we're now getting back doesn't necessarily mean just because you're getting some names back on the paper on the sheet that you're going to be actually a better team. But I think with the players that we are bringing into our front half, we're really optimistic around what they bring to the team and through the midfield. That our ability to use the ball quite quickly and fast is only going to improve from here on, and that will be a real challenge for opposition. But we know we have to defend well too, otherwise we'll get opened up.
So Ken, you're 3 weeks out of the finals starting. What are you hoping to see from this group in terms of improvement until then? Is there still something that needs to be worked on?
Oh, there's always stuff to be worked on. The coach is never happy. It's what we do. We always look for something to get better at, but that's what we should do. And we've got a long way to go. We've played some strong footy, but we haven't played what I consider probably 4 strong quarters of footy. And I think that's the challenge. If you're going to win, finals, you're going to win, a number of finals, you're going to have to play 4 quarters, because as the finals come and the competition creeps up on you, it's every minute of every quarter that's going to count. You're not going to get away with having 30 minutes down or 10 minutes down for that matter. You're going to have to play flat out the whole way through, and that's our challenge.
Ken, and just one final one. Hamish Hartlett, albeit not playing tonight, had an op last week, and he's keen to get back. He provides further depth if he can. Has he got the runway to get there?
Yeah, I think he's got the time. He had minor surgery on his knee, which is it does, some of those little scope ones you can get back within a couple of weeks, and that's what Hamish is optimistic about, and we're optimistic about that too. And, with the season being the way it is and another 3 games still to go, and, and then the finals bye week as well, it's still a good month before the finals get upon us. And, obviously, from our point of view, that the sample looked like it's, slightly extending, and that gives us opportunities to get, minutes into Hamish if he can get going.
Ken, thanks for your time ahead of Bounce Down. Best of luck in Showdown 50.
Good on you, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Power coach Ken Hinkley there on Grandstand AFL. Showdown 50 coming up very shortly as the Power make their way out onto the Adelaide Oval. 15,000 in the house. It is an Adelaide Crows home game. The crowd fairly spaced out as well, so it probably won't look too good on your TV screens if you're watching the game, but regardless, we should expect some sort of atmosphere at least. Probably just not the atmosphere we were hoping for this time a month ago. No late changes for either side, so Ben Davis, the medical sub for the Crows, Todd Marshall, the medical sub for the Power. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross with you alongside Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams. We'll get into the preview very shortly, but Jamo, I have to ask you, as an Adelaide Crows board member, premiership player, the news throughout the week of Taylor Walker, how did you react personally, and what's going on internally at the club right now?
Well, there's been plenty that's been said, and as a club, we've made our position very clear that it's just unacceptable and it's indefendable. And the AFL have given support, guidance, training, education to the players, coaches and everyone involved in clubs for that many years, and to still think that it happens and one of your own have made an inappropriate comment, it's really disappointing. He's broken some trust and some friendships, and it's a monumental blunder. And we're going to wrap our arms around our Indigenous players, our current and our past players, our Indigenous staff, and everyone just needs to know that it's just not the right thing to be doing. And then you read and you listen to current and past Indigenous players, and they're all just tired and weary, because they have to defend this all the time. And it's a really disappointing day and a really disappointing time for the individual and everyone involved, and and for our club.
And obviously then we look ahead to tonight ahead of Bounce Down. It was a game going in that Port Adelaide were heavy favourites for, and now the turmoil off-field coming into this contest. Does that damage Adelaide even further? Firstly, not having Tex out there, and secondly, obviously trying to deal with what has just happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to bring it back to a game of footy, as because of how the events have unfolded. But yeah, I mean, clearly Taylor's kicked 49 goals for the season, so he's a significant player and has been this year, and some say in career form, and a real target for Adelaide. So there's a young group, there's a young player, and Braden Cook gets an opportunity to debut tonight against one of the most difficult games in a season. We need to celebrate that. Port Adelaide are flying. Adelaide have got a really big job ahead of them after a disappointing loss last week against the Western Bulldogs. And, we spoke to Scott Burns, and I myself, and as a board and as the whole process as to how this has unfolded, it's meant to be private and confidential, and that's the AFL's policy on something like this matter. So the players, the coaches and the board, majority of the board, we didn't know until Thursday, that this is actually unfolding. And then, as it does, conciliation took nearly 11 hours with all parties involved, and so it was very late. Then the penalty comes down, and then you can actually talk about it as a playing group, and that only happened yesterday. So it's a lot to take in for a young group. So it's a heavy weight and a big burden. And look, I'm intrigued, one, to see how we're going to perform tonight. But if there's some big challenges to overcome, the group is going to grow up pretty quickly.
And Steve, from a power perspective, as Gemmo just touched on, they're rolling into September. They keep welcoming back big names. What are you hoping to see from them tonight outside of a win?
Well, it's just that ball movement, isn't it? Having Robbie Gray back certainly gives them that little bit of a different look up forward. You know, they've gone with those tools over the last month or so, but to have Robbie back there, it's squeezed Todd Marshall out, and I think we can't expect Robbie Gray to come back and win the Showdown medal tonight. I'd be very surprised if that would happen. He's been out for a long time, so he's going to ease his way back in. But I think the reason that Port Adelaide have put him straight back in is just to get him into the game and get him some games under his belt before the finals start. We've seen Butters and Dersma struggle early, but I thought there were some really good signs from those two young players last week. They started to find their feet. They started to make a real impact on the game, and Robbie's probably going to take 2 or 3 weeks to do that. Fantasia looked out of it early, but started to get some nice touches late in the game against the Giants. So, Port is starting to get players back at the right end of the season and in time to have a few games under their belt before finals start. So, heavy favourites tonight. Probably if the Crows were to win, Gemmo, tonight, it would almost be their best Showdown win as far as the personnel they got out there and where they are at the moment. To come up and win tonight would be a great effort by the Adelaide Footy Club.
Truly optimistic. I'll run with GWS and having 8 changes and going down to Geelong and taking on Geelong in one of the most difficult games and getting up. And then we saw the Gold Coast today get over Carlton. I guess the opposition aren't as quality. But I think you're right, Stephen, I think Port Adelaide are in a wonderful position. And why would you bring a star in of that quality straight away? And they can play him and give him maybe half the game time just to run him in at this particular level. The opposition, Robbie Gray spooks the opposition, and he doesn't need too many touches to have an impact too. And they've got multiple at the moment. You know, you got other than what do we got? Todd Marshall's kicked 20, and again he's the emergency. But 6 players tonight for Port. They kicked 134 goals. You know, they've got some quality and they've got the targets up forward. And we heard from Ken about, and you asked the question around going inside 50, but I mean, the options are plenty. Their backline are run and carry. They rely heavily on Travis Boak and Ollie Wine to having outstanding seasons. But Carl Amon, for me, has been a star. So right across the board, they're going to be a big challenge tonight.
Touched on it, Jammo, earlier today. The Suns defeating Carlton by 19 points. So Took Miller had 35 touches and 2 goals. Harry Mackay kicked 1 goal, had a shoulder injury though, and Brandon Ellis did his hamstring. Then Richmond defeated North Melbourne by 33 points to stay in finals contention, but the Giants currently hold that 8th spot. They defeated Geelong on Friday night, and the news from that game, Toby Green has been offered a 2-week suspension for striking Patrick Dangerfield. Joel Selwood copped a fine for his hit on Sam Taylor, so Toby Green will be contesting that at the tribunal, but currently been offered a 2-week ban for his hit on Patrick Dangerfield. There is one other game tonight as well over at Docklands. St Kilda hosting Sydney, so we'll give you score updates throughout this evening, but there are no late changes there. Jack Bytel, the medical sub, for St Kilda, James Rowbottom, the sub for the Sydney Swans, and here at the Adelaide Oval, Ben Davis, the sub for the Crows, Todd Marshall, the sub for the Power. We're moments away from bounce down, about 3 minutes away, so gents, I'll get your tips and your Showdown medal. Actually, no, I won't get your Showdown medal tips because one of our own is on the actual voting panel for that. So I'll just get your tips for the game.
I think, again, on form, look, you're really optimistic, and you'd be suggesting that Adelaide would have to play out of their skin. The turmoil that has been the last couple of days for them to digest. The quality and the form that Port Adelaide are in, there's probably much more, and we've covered it all off. I think Port Adelaide should win this. So just, as a Adelaide supporter in the position I hold at the football club, I just hope the margin is not that great.
And it's important for Port Adelaide. Adelaide want to win, obviously, but Port have to keep on winning to maintain that top 4 position. Sydney are breathing right down their neck, so they can't afford any slip-ups. So I think Ken Hinkley would have made his side very aware of the importance, and being a showdown, I think it's probably a good thing, because there's been some bizarre results over the years with these games, and Adelaide at their best. We saw it against Geelong here at the start of the season. We saw it against Melbourne. They've beaten sides that Port couldn't beat. So when they get things running, they can play some good footy. So Port Adelaide for me, but it still has to be won.
And coming into number 50, to think that it's 24-25 as well. And it's been predominantly Port Adelaide that have had the big winning streaks. They've won the last 3. Adelaide have managed to work their way back. But, look, really intrigued.
I mentioned there are no late changes over at the Docklands. There's been a very, very late one just now. So Callum Mills is out with Achilles soreness suffered in the warm-up. So James Rowbottom, the original medical sub, comes in. The new sub is Ryan Clark. So Callum Mills a big out for the Swans in that contest up against St Kilda over at Docklands. If you do want to hear the call of that game, it's available to you on the AFL app. There is an ABC stream there. But it's great to have your company here at the Adelaide Oval on ABC Radio South Australia, ABC Radio Northern Territory, and ABC Sport Digital for Showdown 50. The text line 0467 922 891. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams, your call team. Down on the boundary is Josh Money. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you, Aaron. Very much looking forward to this one. First Crows home showdown in over 2 years, and we've got 15,000 fans in, nearly all of them in tricolours or supporting the tricolours. Port Adelaide have won the toss. Tom Jonas winning the toss, and the power will kick to the southern end of the ground in this first quarter. Pretty fresh night down here, just 12 degrees, but clear skies and hardly any wind, so a good night for football. Let's have a look at the benches. Mitch Georgiades, Riley Bonner, Orazio Fantasia and Willem Drew starting on the bench for Port Adelaide. Todd Marshall is the very tall medical sub. Lockie Murphy, Andrew McPherson, Harry Schomburg, and on debut in a showdown, if you don't mind, Braden Cook starting on the bench for the Crows. And in a very testing week for the Adelaide Football Club's Indigenous group, Ben Davis is the medical sub tonight.
So it's showdown 50 at the Adelaide Oval. Can Port Adelaide make it 4 in a row? Will the Crows overcome a tumultuous week to get another upset win in season 2021? To kick things off on Grandstand AFL, here's Neil Cross.
Port Adelaide almost unbackable favourites in this match, which is really unusual for a showdown. Let's see what unfolds. Ball in the air for the first bounce, and it comes straight down to Laird for Adelaide. He's wrapped up straight away. Pal Pepper had him, and he couldn't get rid of the ball. Secondary bounce, still within the centre circles. Up it goes. That's a throw up, not a bounce. It comes down to Laird again. He pushed Pal Pepper in the back, kicked the ball down the ground. It will come back, and Pal Pepper will have the first official possession of showdown number 50.
So Pal Pepper in the middle of the centre square has a runner on the outside, and Burn Jones doesn't use him. Plays on, flat kick into the 50. Hits up towards Butters, didn't sit well for him. He was beaten in the contest. Hammer will take it. And a short kick out wide to Murray now. So the Crows in defensive 50. Nick Murray has it in the left back pocket.
So Murray comes this broadcast side of the ground for the Crows. Long kick. Houston at the back, knocked it away. It's near the boundary line, picked up, just scrambled forward by Adelaide, down towards Himmelberg at half forward, buffeted off it by McKenzie. Flicked a hand pass back to Burn Jones. Down the line with a kick out on the full. So a free kick will go to Kelly for Adelaide. He backs up at left half back.
Himmelberg up forward, Crossy, McKenzie on him, and Alir on Riley Thilthorpe.
Kelly goes down the line. Sloan in the front of the contest up against Alir. Alir managed to get a hand to it, paddles it over the boundary line to be tossed back in. Left half forward for the Adelaide Crows. No score so far. A minute and a half gone in showdown 50. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL.
Ben Keys has gone to Travis Boak as well around the stoppages.
Toss back in. Lysett got a little tap towards Wines, threw it on the boot. A bouncing ball towards centre wing on the western side. It's cut off by Kelly. He knocked it towards the boundary line, and Seedsman couldn't keep it in play. Another boundary throw-in to come.
Rory Laird and Pal Pepper were pretty tight there, but I think Rory Laird was going to go with Carl Aim on twos just to try and break that up, but they come together now at the boundary throw-in.
So ball back into play, short throw-in. O'Brien came and met it. Lysett got him to the ground. Ball just comes out towards Wines, who scrambles a kick straight down the line towards half forward. Kelly went in, couldn't take it. Clean was Gray. Inboard hand pass found. Amon tackled straight away. Umpire said, holding the ball. He was running to his right leg, and he had nowhere to go, and Chase Jones did the chasing.
So really settled down in the halfback.
Good tackle, wasn't it? Yep, did a good job.
Great start for the former first-round pick. Chase Jones heads up to centre wing. Lysett gets a hand to it in the contest. To ground it goes. Himmelberg with his head over it is put in a headlock by Robbie Gray. And a ball up to come centre wing on the western side. Here's the reset. O'Brien slaps it down, went past Ollie Wines towards the boundary line. Sloan keeps it in play. The Crows skipper, a hand pass to Seedsman. Sells some candy around Amon and then heads towards the 50. At left half forward, Himmelberg is pushed out of it by McKenzie. No free kick. Ball stays in play. Lynch a hand pass inbound towards Keys. He's got some space for the Crows. From 55, he'll head all the way towards home. Doesn't have the distance, and Aaliyah cuts it off on the behind line. So no score. 3 minutes gone in the first quarter of Showdown 50.
Just needed to spot up there, didn't he, rather than kick that long one. That's right into Lear's wheelhouse. He needed to lower his eyes and just hit one of those lead-up forwards.
Ben Keys, it's just the area that lets him down. He wins so much of it. His handballing is normally pretty good, but it's his kicking efficiency that's poor.
Aaliyah went short to Jonas, who went down the line. Still on this broadcast side. It'll go in again from Adelaide as Butts gets it, hooks it in. Off the pack, picked up cleanly by McKay. Chance to kick it goal. He tried to hit it off the instep. Aaliyah intercepted it. It was a scrubber of a kick, and Port Adelaide able to clear out towards the scoreboard pocket. It's out of bounds. We'll get a throw in about 35, 40 metres around from the goal face. Great chance for Adelaide to kick the first points in the game.
All the hard work, got to the right spot.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Looked simple, laid across your boot and kick a goal, but took a divot, I think.
So toss back in, 40 out from the Crows' goal. Lycett in front position, beats Himmelberg to it. Just sock it off the deck by Houston. It'll roll towards the boundary line. He didn't have a target, and the umpires awarded deliberate. Justin Power, the free kick to the Crows. And Tom Duday will hand it off to Nick Murray. He's just forward of centre wing on the eastern side. So Murray will just go bang, a massive kick towards the scoreboard pocket. There's plenty of players underneath it, and Aaliyah gets the height to put a fist to it. Stays just in play. Lynch can't get there as it rolls over the line. Another boundary throw in to come in the scoreboard pocket, this time about 25 out from the Crows' goal. Still no score, 5 minutes travelled in the opening quarter.
That congestion in that forward 50 then was just huge. There was only 6 players that were outside the 50-metre arc at Adelaide's end.
So the ball back into play. Lycett for Port Adelaide gets it away to McKenzie. His kick was smothered. They're still in the back pocket, Port Adelaide. Wines got it, and then off to Houston. Off the left foot, wasn't fantastic, but still found Bergman. Still inside defensive 50. Gave it to Boak, and then put under pressure was Port Adelaide again. It's bobbled around to Himmelberg for Adelaide, and then back to Burton for Port. He's cleared the 50 only to kick it out on the full. It's going to come back again. Butts is going to get the ball once he has to reach right over the fence. The first couple of rows not filled by spectators. The rules in place for this 15,000 crowd.
So Butts with the fourth inside 50 for the Crows. Goes over the head of Thilthorpe. Spills to ground. McKay gathers. He's caught in the tackle. Fans thought it might have been high by Darcy Byrne-Jones, but a ball up will be called instead. 25 out, straight in front from the Crows' goal. Still no score. 6 minutes in the opening quarter. Here's the reset. Lycett down for the power to Powell-Pepper. His hand pass the turnover to O'Brien. Kick wasn't great. Keys tries to put his head over the ball and is wrapped up. Powell-Pepper there once again. Ball comes out though. The Crows with a quick shot on goal. Too far over to the right-hand side by Rory Laird. A minor score to kick things off in Showdown 50. It's the Crows with the early lead. 6 minutes into the first term.
Really good repeat inside 50s. Adelaide's forwards working very hard and not letting Port have any system in their play outside that defensive 50.
Port Adelaide going at 36% kicking efficiency. Adelaide's pressure very good in this first part of the first quarter.
Tom Duday with the intercept mark from the long kick in that came from the Port skipper and Jonas. Duday goes deep with his kick inside 50. Aaliyah with an intercept mark for Port Adelaide. So he takes it about 25 out from goal. Keep an eye on Riley O'Brien. When the ball was smothered off his boot, he came away limping a little bit. That would be chaos for Adelaide if he was hurt.
Aaliyah down the line on the western side. Dixon couldn't take it. Laddams comes to assist. He drops it in the tackle. Attacking edge of the square for the Crows. Messy football right now. Seedsman gets a hand pass out. Back to Murray. Kicks towards the left forward pocket. Leading out Thilthorpe. Couldn't take it. Spills to Byrne-Jones for the power. Hand pass to Burton. It's coming back for a free kick. Byrne-Jones caught high in the tackle by Thilthorpe. So Port Adelaide with possession in the right back pocket. Adelaide up by a point. Over at the Docklands, scores a level between St Kilda and Sydney. 1 goal apiece. Cooper Sharman and Errol Goulden, both with individual majors.
7.5 minutes in. Darcy Byrne-Jones goes centrally to aim on. Wasn't the greatest of kicks. He half volleyed it pretty well. Flared it out to the logo on centre wing on the eastern side of the ground. Picked up by Rosie. Oh, he turned inside out and then did well to get away from Hamill. Now he blasts inside 50. Back there, O'Brien and Lycett fight for it. Comes to Robbie Gray. Look away, hand pass towards the boundary. Has to go and get it himself and then paddles it over the boundary line. The umpire says throw it in. 20 around from the goal face. Left forward pocket. for Port Adelaide. Down to the boundary line where Josh Money is watching.
Riley O'Brien had a quick chat with the physio but waved him away, so good news, looks like he's fine to play on.
Back into the ruck contest as well. Dixon in front position though, tapped it down to no one in particular. Off a few hands, Boat can gather. Hand passes it out towards Bergman. They exit their own 50 and Bergman gets tackled over the boundary line. So it'll be tossed back in at left half forward for the Power. Down by a point. Adelaide leading 8.5 gone in the opening quarter. The text line if you'd like to get in touch, 0467 922 891.
So it's a contest early on, no doubt about that. Lysett from the ruck contest, knocks it straight down. Boat received it, had to hand pass under pressure down the boundary line. He goes and over, and so we'll get another throw in. That's a forward 50 entry, I guess, for Port Adelaide.
Pressure's been good again from Adelaide too. Just the differential between the two teams, where they sit, what's expected, and the outcome tonight. Adelaide have started really well.
O'Brien got the tap down, but the clearing kick from the Crows is cut off by Burn-Jones. Had a runner in Houston, had to duck around a couple of tackles. An inside hand pass to Dersma, then Aaliyah from the centre square. He'll go to the right forward pocket looking for Robbie Gray. Was beaten by Kelly, had to apply a tackle. The Crows have numbers. Murray gives it off to Duday. He's wrapped up. Butters now picks it up. He's caught in the tackle and it's high. Free kick to Zach Butters. Rory Laird gets him 40 from home. Tight angle to the right.
It's Tommy Duday, normally good with his awareness around. Just held onto the football too long and was caught holding the ball. Then just the pressure applied by Port Adelaide, then just had to give it up and give the pressure to somebody else. And Zach Butters coming in recent time.
Yeah, starting to find a bit of form, isn't he?
Missed about 9 rounds with syndesmosis. Now back into the side, an X factor ahead of finals. Starts outside the 50, kicks from 45. It starts left, but it's coming back for a major. Zach Butters gets the first goal of Showdown 50 and puts Port Adelaide up by 5 points. 10 minutes gone in the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL. It's Port Adelaide 1 straight 6 to the Crows, 1 behind. Josh Money on the boundary.
Braden Cook is coming onto the ground for the first time as an AFL player. 10 minutes in, he's been standing at the interchange gate looking very, very nervous. So he would be relieved man to get onto the ground.
We heard Scott Burns in our interview before the game talk about not so much the tall Port forwards, but the class on the ground, the Butters, Rosie, Fantasia, and those three have had some significant touches already.
Will Hamill's a greyhound as well, but the way that Connor Rosie just turned him inside out, didn't it? Went a couple of ways and then pulled away.
Crowd booing, of course, as we expect in a Adelaide home game when Port Adelaide gets a free kick and kicks a goal. Rory Laird had a case for a high fend-off before he actually took Butters high. That was the reason some people were upset. Ball back in the middle now. Port Adelaide by 5 points. Sloane takes it out of the middle for Adelaide, clears it down inside half forward, bounces to Himmelberg. Chance to give a hand pass to Lynch. He was going past. It's picked up by McKay though, and then it rebounds off to Himmelberg. Snap and a goal! Oh, it was bumbly, but they kept it going forward, and Himmelberg made the most of it. Adelaide back in front by a point, 1-1-7. Port Adelaide, 1 goal, straight 6 points after 11 minutes in Showdown 50 on Grandstand AFL.
Big man did well there, Jummo. He had a couple of possessions. It looked like he'd given it away, but he was able to follow it up and just a bit of composure, put it on his boot, and a nice goal.
Thought he had the chance the first time to maybe even swing on his, go around to his left, but he decided to give Tommy Lynch the handball. It was wayward, and then the pressure just came from Port Adelaide, and he followed up tremendously well.
Over at the Docklands, Jack Higgins has kicked a snag for the Saints to put them up by 6. 12 minutes gone in the first, so 2 straight 12 to 1 straight 6. Here in Showdown 50, 2 early lead changes, and Adelaide up by a point. 1-1-7 to 1 straight 6.
Well, you want your skipper to stand up. Rory Sloane in the middle again has been tackled by Willem Drew, but a very good clearance.
Received the ball from Riley O'Brien and will get a ball up in the middle once again. Laddams in this contest for Port Adelaide. Won the tap. Laird cut it off though coming across. He's caught in the tackle. Amon just flicks the boot at it towards centre half forward. Doesn't get there. It's cut off by Duday, but turned over straight to Pau Pepper. Then Amon throws it on the boot. A bouncing ball into the 50. Didn't work for Dixon. McPherson can exit straight into the arms of Miles Bergman. He's 55 from goal. Bergman unsure what to do, so he'll set it up towards the top of the goal square. Dixon and Georgiades there. Dixon shoved out his opponent, Murray, and the umpire saw it. Free kick to the Crows in defensive 50.
Yeah, he loves it, doesn't he, too? Scott Burns also just saying how good and how well he's improved, and just his desire to go to the contest. He's hard at it.
He was kicking out to that eastern side. He found Kelly with the pass. Off to McPherson by hand, running past, and then a free kick on centre wing paid against Adelaide. It'll go to Aaliyah opposed to Thilthorpe, who pleaded his case with the umpire, who naturally said no, it's a free kick. Still, short to Amon. He's right on the boundary line on the eastern wing. Short again for Port Adelaide. Taken by Bonner. Too short, said the umpire. Play on. Bonner goes back by hand to Amon, and then he gives it to Bonner. Again, the hand pass is going in circles. It ends up with Wines. He goes in 50 and high. At the back, it's punched down by Kelly. It went to Port Adelaide to Drew, gave the hand pass to Rosie, then his hand pass was astray. Good pressure from Adelaide. Bonner's got it, hooks it across the shoulder, and it must have been touched in flight because Smith got it and still played on very quickly and cleared the area for Adelaide.
To a contest, Aaliyah and Himmelberg both had each other. Spills to Wines, who tried to barrel through multiple Adelaide players and was brought down. No free kick. Thilthorpe gets a hand out wide, trying to get it to Cook, the debutant. He turned it over. Wines just paddles it forward. Smith again cutting it off. Messy football left half forward for the Power, and they've given away a free kick. High tackle by Sam Palpepper on Tom Duday. Short kick to McPherson, called to play on at centre half back. He'll go through the square, finds Laird, has a runner out wide, a hand pass to McPherson. Through the logo they go. Over the top to O'Brien, who sold Schonberg into trouble. Amon wrapped him up and has hurt himself, Carl Amon, in the tackle. Clutching his head on the deck as the Power regroup. Dersma to Bonner, and then out wide to Georgiades at centre half back.
So Georgiades just slows it down for the Power. They keep it short. He comes to this broadcast side of the ground and he finds Burton.
Amon on his feet too. Ollie Wines sucking in the big ones as it goes directly to him.
Burton with a good kick, 45 degree, inside the square. Wines gave it to Drew on the run, inside 50. Good punch away from Chase Jones, who was manning Robbie Gray. Gray playing his 21st showdown. He's won 5 showdown medals. Chase Jones, an early selection in the draft for Adelaide, who's had his problems, shall we say, in his development.
36 game tonight, Crossy, but I like his speed and his ability, and it's probably a good matchup for him to learn and try and shut down one of the greats of Port Adelaide.
The Crows by a point. O'Brien gets it out of the defensive 50 for them. Bonner's there though. A hand pass to Bergman. The Power once again inside 50. Not a great entry. Palpepper does well though to get a hand pass, or a throw was it to Dixon. Holding the ball is the call. Incorrect disposal. Take your pick. Adelaide to receive the free kick in defensive 50. One of their most improved players for the year, Ben Keys, has it in the right back pocket.
Nervous.
Keys called to play on. Heads down the eastern side. In front position, Laddams. O'Brien comes across to knock it to ground. Spilled to the Power's advantage. Drew to Aaliyah. Then McKenzie loads up on the left. Just stays in play. Palpepper nearly takes it on the chest. Is nudged over the boundary line. It'll be tossed in left half forward for the Power. So they're 1 straight 6. Adelaide 1-1-7. Approaching the 17-minute mark of the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams.
Ball thrown back into play. O'Brien had the tap down. Amon couldn't get a clean disposal away. Schonberg now chasing it for Adelaide. Out towards the boundary with a hand pass to Lynch. Forward of the play was Keys. He takes it. He wants his left leg. He gets through 3 tackles. Then gives a hand pass back. It's kicked down the line by the debutant for Adelaide in Cook, and then punched over the boundary line at right half forward for the Crows out on the eastern side. It's a tough, demanding contest so far. Adelaide 1-1-7. Port Adelaide 1 goal straight 6 after 17 minutes.
Toss back in. O'Brien gets rid of Laddams but couldn't get a tap away. Laddams does the crumbing. Short kick didn't favour Butters, who threw it out, almost lifted it up, underarm hook. Turned it over anyway. Chase Jones for the Crows. Heads inside 50 in the scoreboard pocket. Thilthorpe comes across. He can't take it. Spills to McKay though. Bursts away. On the right boot. He dribbles it. 3 for a minus score. That looked home. The Crows now up by 2 points. 1-2-8 to 1 straight 6. 18 minutes gone in the opening quarter. As the Power through Bonner, heads to Willem Drew. Still in defensive 50, about 40 from the goal line.
Drew towards the back end for Port Adelaide at the centre square, finds Wines. Wines backs up, takes his time, right out wide near the boundary line. He goes sideways to Burton. So Adelaide being stretched in defensive position by Port's kicking. Burton forced to kick down the line though. This time O'Brien front of the pack, brings it down. And Murray got a hand pass out, I thought. The umpire thought otherwise and said in the tackle it was throwing the ball. So incorrect disposal. Bergman will take the free kick. Right half forward for Port Adelaide. Goes deep into the pocket. Gray had good position there, or rather Fantasia did. And Adelaide came to support Chase Jones, and eventually it was Kelly who knocked it over the line, 25 around from the goal face. Right forward pocket for Port Adelaide, trailing by 2 points on Grandstand AFL.
Talking about Chase Jones a little bit, Robbie Gray goes off and Orazio comes on. He's going to have a good night as they interchange between each other.
Toss back in and the Powers attacking 50. O'Brien gets away from Dixon. A hand pass to Keys, sold him into trouble, turns it over. Fantasia spins through a tackle and gets it to Palpepper. He can't shrug one away. Drops the ball, no free kick. Still about 40 from goal for the Power. Dixon now drops it. Finally the Crows get a clearance. Seedsman threw it on the boot. Bounced through Lysett. Billthorpe couldn't gather either, and Lysett will be tackled over the boundary line by McHenry. Bit of history between those two as well. The last time they met in a showdown, Scott Lysett got suspended for tackling McHenry into the turf. Boundary throw-in to come right half forward for the Power, down by 2.
Adelaide stiff then, I thought, on a couple of occasions.
Yes, they were, weren't they? Port took the tackles on, got caught.
Both times.
O'Brien takes on the job of getting rid of Lysett. Got rid of Lysett, but it fell for Rosie down the line. Delicate kick finds Lysett, who'd gone forward. Now he shows a bit of candy, and then inside the forward 50 with the kick. And Jones had too much for Orazio Fantasia. Adelaide comes away. McHenry out on the eastern side of the ground. They've switched well to Murphy. He's a left footer. He'll want to come inside. He goes outside with his right foot. Does it particularly effectively to McKay. McKay chips it to the top of 50. It's in the right forward pocket. Lynch takes it. Kicks it all the way to the goal face. Lear with the intercept mark. He kicked right over the top of Philthorpe, and Port Adelaide will come away with it.
Hand pass off to Gray, who uses a screen to get some space, kicks it down the line and turns it straight over. Himmelberg gathers off the bounce, can send it back towards the 50. Dangerous kick. Burn-Jones nearly collides with McHenry. Spills towards Laird. A hand pass to Keys. Back into the 50 for Adelaide. Lynch is outnumbered. Aaliyah comes across, slaps it down to Bonner. He gets it out to defensive 50, and again, Port Adelaide kick it into open space. And deliberate is called once again at right half forward.
Just a good barometer as to the pressure that Adelaide applying. Schoenberg goes forward.
Mark taken by Lynch way out wide, within a metre or two of the boundary line, and 50 from goal. He says, I'm going to have a crack. He's not, but he's just trying to take his full 30 seconds.
Inside 50s, 11 apiece. Adelaide have been wasteful, haven't they, on a couple of occasions?
Both sides, that final kick inside 50 is really not doing any favours to the forwards.
And as expected, Lynch went short and effectively.
That one did.
He found a loose one inside 50, and Laird will go back and have a shot at goal from maybe 35, 40 metres out, just to the right.
3-goal 5 for the year. Rory Laird, he's had another good year.
Needs to kick this, doesn't he? Adelaide have to make... You think they have to make the most of their opportunities tonight, be really good and efficient in front of goals.
Round 8 against Port Adelaide had 36 possessions and didn't take a mark. So in comes Laird, shoots at goal and hooks it for the minus score. So Adelaide take their lead out to 3 points. It's been a tough opening quarter, 1-3-9 for Adelaide. Port Adelaide 1 straight goal, 6 points, 22 in.
Rory Laird's kicked 2 behinds.
David McKay's looked very dangerous too, hasn't he? Playing probably a little higher up forward, but his speed is really causing some concerns.
Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams, your experts for Showdown 50. The cannon, Trent McKenzie, goes straight down the corridor. Dixon brings it to ground. Butters got a half volley, turned it over though. Butts now to Laird. The Crows through McHenry, then McKay. A chain of hand passes into the 50. Schomburg just skies it on the boot to the right forward pocket. Fogarty's beaten by Aaliyah. Brings it to ground. Cook comes across though. Gathers. Kicks under pressure and out on the full in the scoreboard pocket. So a free kick to Port Adelaide. Braden Cook's been around the mark in his debut, but hasn't been too efficient with it just yet. His 4th touch at 33% efficiency.
Matthew Nick said he looked like when he came to the club a 14-year-old boy with his body size, but he's spent a fair bit of time in building that up. It's a great opportunity tonight.
Alia brings it back in for Port Adelaide. It's punched off the pack, comes to Schonberg. A couple of Port Adelaide players take him down. One of them, Georgiades, and Drew was the other one, and calls it holding the ball. Boy, that was shotgun stuff. So Drew will take the free kick, left half back for Port Adelaide.
That's ridiculous. And then the other end, there's two.
That seems to be the only one that they consistently play. That one that if you drag it in and everyone jumps on you, you're done.
So Drew down the eastern wing. Off a few hands, it spills to McKay at the back. Hamill, rather. He handed it back towards Kelly. Awkward kick to centre-half back. Burne-Jones dropped the intercept. Murphy now can head to centre-half forward. An errant kick. Trying to sit it up in front of McKay, but Drew reads it best for the power. Short kick from centre-half back to right half-back. Butters now will go back to the square. Hits up Dersma.
Port Adelaide have continually gone through the middle of this quarter, haven't they?
They have. They've looked for that kick.
Yeah.
So the switch completed to the eastern side. Burton marked over the top to Houston. And now to the logo to Boak. He's got a runner, gives it to Bonnet, threw it on the boot, bouncing towards the 50 and past the arc. But sliding in, cuts it off, gets a hand pass to Himmelberg. Over his head, nearly intercepted by Dersma, who's wrapped up quickly by Cook. And it was high. Free kick to Port Adelaide, left half forward. Xavier Dersma, 60 out. Spots a quick target, short, and hits up Georgiades, who had the ball, was knocked out of his hands as he came to ground, but the mark's been paid. Mitch Georgiades, 40 from home, slight angle to the left, has a chance to kick the Powers second.
They tend to pay those, don't they?
Port Adelaide are coming through the middle. I mean, the skills from both sides at the moment aren't all that flash. Kicking efficiency, 62 Port Adelaide percent, 54 Adelaide. So pressure on both sides, but they've had time to settle down and actually use the football better than what they have.
Been a great year for Mitch Georgiades for goal number 30 in season 2021. It's too short on the goal line. It's knocked to ground. Sliding in, tackle applied in the goal square. Ball up to come. The bottom of the pack is the 5-time showdown medalist Robbie Gray, so watch where he goes. The quick reset, 5 from goal. Dixon knocks it down to Gray, gets through a couple and drops it as he tries to get the kick away. No free kick. Laird's kick is smothered. Ricochets to the right forward pocket. Butters diving onto the ball, gets it to Pal Pepper. Just got boot to ball but didn't carry very far. O'Brien clears it straight to his opposing ruckman in Scott Lycett, who takes the mark, 45 from home, slight angle to the right.
Oh, the big ruckman, he's kicked 5 for the year. He's got a reasonable kick.
Trent McKenzie's just hanging around the back.
Yeah, on the wrong side here too. Trent's run around the right, being a left footer. Lockie Murphy's got him covered. Can he kick it?
Yeah, I think he can kick that distance.
Scott Lycett starting far back. 5 goals, 3 for the year. Have to load up to get the distance on this one. Kicks it on the paint, leans back, has a lot of height, starting left and on the goal line. O'Brien will knock it through for a minor score. So it is the Adelaide Crows leading 1-3-9, Port Adelaide 1-1-7, late stages of the opening quarter in Showdown 50. It's been messy football, but certainly intriguing.
Crows go short to the pocket. Butters out on the eastern side, he goes long with his kick. Alia with a big intercept mark, straight in the middle of the pack away from Fogarty. Hasn't been noticed in this opening term. Alia's been on him. Alia back inside 50, into the pocket he goes looking for Dixon. Back with the flight of the ball was Pal Pepper. It was brave. It bounced off his chest and over the boundary line. 25 around from the goal face. Throw in.
Had 9 disposals, Alia. 6 kicks, 3 handballs, 4 marks. So he's started very well, hasn't he?
Yeah, just got to watch the way they go. Adelaide have gone in and gone directly to him on occasions. If it's not a mark, he ggets his fist to it.
Dixon down looking for Gray. There's 30 seconds on the clock. Can the Power take the lead? Spills out towards Amon. Quick kick towards the goal line is spilt. McPherson couldn't take it. Palpepper gets a hand pass in midair. Was it kicked through on the goal line by Boak?
I don't think so, not by his reaction.
He threw a boot at it. We're going to go to score review here, I imagine.
Probably depends on what the umpire says.
So Power Pepper gets a quick hand pass under pressure. It bounces towards the goal line. Travis Boak beats butts to it and completely misses the ball, I reckon.
Yep.
It's had a fresh airy.
The shape of the ball, it looks like it just bounced up on the angle and he's kicked over the top of it. But Andrew McPherson, just the pressure that he put under himself, I don't know if it was going to be touched and they were calling play on.
It was touched play on, yeah.
But he just dropped an absolute sitter, which allowed Sam Powell-Pepper to come in, and the tackle was follow-up, but just comedy.
So confirmation, Travis Boak has missed the ball, and that means it will be a minor score for the Power. A 1-point game in Showdown 50 in front of 15,000 fans at the Adelaide Oval. It's 1-3-9 playing 1-2-8. There's 20 seconds on the clock. Can Adelaide hold on to the ball ahead of quarter time?
McPherson brings the ball back into play. He kicks out to that eastern side, high and long. Ball comes to the front line, slick hand pass to Burton, and then he was under pressure, hand passed it over the boundary line. We'll get a throw in. But I think Adelaide has averted the danger late in the quarter. It's been an entertaining opening quarter. You can't say it hasn't been a contest.
Had Corns on the boundary. He's got the black mask on. He looks like Hannibal Lecter.
Toss back in. Neither ruck got a tap. Spills to Sloan. He got a quick kick away. Turned it over to Bonner. Centre wing eastern side. But that will do us for the opening quarter of Showdown 50. Very contested contest. Lots of inside 50s. Lots of errant shots. But at least we're getting high-pressure football. It's Adelaide 1-3-9, leading Port Adelaide 1-2-8 at the first break here at the Adelaide Oval. Over at Docklands, St Kilda pushing away from Sydney, who had a late out in Callum Mills. 5 straight 30 to Saints. The Swans 3-1-19 approaching quarter time there. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and ABC Radio Northern Territory.
G'day, I'm Jan Fran.
Absolutely not true.
And we have a quiz show
Yeah, kinda.
that will put an end to fake news.
Slight overreach.
Catch the new show about getting your facts straight.
It showcases the best new comedians.
Yeah, that bit's true.
And it gives you the tools to tackle misinformation.
Question everything.
People call me misinformation.
Really?
Drop in for a new show with Will Anderson and Jan Fran. Starts Wednesday, August 18 on ABC TV and stream it on ABC iView.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Murray gives it off to Duday. He's wrapped up. Butters now picks it up. He's caught in the tackle and it's high. Free kick to Zach Butters. Rory Laird gets him 40 from home. Tight angle to the right. Starts outside the 50. Kicks from 45. It starts left, but it's coming back for a major. Zach Butters gets the first goal of Showdown 50. Puts Port Adelaide up by 5 points.
Sloan takes it out of the middle for Adelaide, clears it down inside half forward, bounces to Himmelberg, chance to give a hand pass to Lynch. He was going past, it's picked up by McKay though, and then it rebounds off to Himmelberg, snap and a goal! Oh, it was fumbly, but they kept it going forward, and Himmelberg made the most of it.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Great to have your company here at the Adelaide Oval for round 21 action, and it is the Adelaide Crows leading Port Adelaide by a point at the first break, 1-3-9 to 1-2-8. The goal scorers for the Crows, Elliot Himmelberg; for the Power, Zach Butters. But certainly a contest on our hands right now. The text line, if you'd like to get in touch, 0467 922 891. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you, your experts to wrap up the opening quarter. Adelaide Crows Premiership player Rod Jamieson, Port Magpies Premiership player and coach Stephen Williams.
Well, I think overall it was a really good start by Adelaide, the way that they were able to defend and hold the football in their forward 50 for quite a significant amount of time of that first quarter, an area that they have struggled up to date is the clearance work. They lead Port Adelaide 10-8 in that way. 12 inside 50s to 14 in favour of Port Adelaide. Efficiency again and choosing the right option when they go forward is the one that's probably letting them down at the moment. Alir was picking up Riley Thilthorpe, and you got Fogarty up there, you got Himmelberg up there, and they're kicking it in long to those three, which is allowing Alir to, as we highlighted, to be able to get to the contest, either mark it or get his fist to it. So you need to have that ability to be You know, we talk about lowering the eyes and hitting the run-up or the spot-up player, and he comes forward. Choose the easy kick to be able to do it. That's where Riley, as a new player to the competition and trying to find his way, he's a talent. But he can't just sit back and just say, call it in, and just with an opposing player in Aliir to be able to do that. So efficiency needs to work on. Adelaide have got enough hand on the football. They've defended really well when it has gone down into Port Adelaide's forward 50, Stephen, but the clearance works, so good signs, good start.
Yeah, good start for Adelaide. Ball movement's the key, isn't it? And the pressure from both sides has been pretty good, so we haven't seen a lot of flow from the back half through the midfield into the forward half. Port's entries inside their forward 50 have been pretty rushed and haven't given their forwards too much of an opportunity. As Demo mentioned, Aliir's probably been the best player on the ground so far. His ability to read the play and mark the ball and start counter-attacks has been probably the highlight of the match. Laird's winning plenty of the footy for the Crows. David McKay's one that's looked really sharp around the forward line and probably should have had a couple of goals to his name. He's had a couple of real gilt-edged opportunities but just missed them. So Port Adelaide need to address around those clearances. The Crows are winning the clearances and contested footy, and they're the two markers when Port Adelaide win games. They win both those statistics. So, both sides are certainly very much in the game, and Ken Hinkley would be looking for some improvement, some better ball movement from his side to give his forwards more opportunities.
On the text line, Bill says, everybody but the Crows got the memo. Don't kick it near Aliir. Also, Grant in Waterloo, Sydney says, hi team, enjoying the call as per usual on a Saturday night. Listening via the Listen Live ABC Worm on the AFL app. Go Power, they should be wearing the prison bars. And we've touched on this a fair few times with you, Steve, about...
I don't know why they didn't wear them tonight.
Oh, they weren't allowed to by the AFL.
Right.
Yeah, they're still seeking permission, and they'll continue to fight that battle, I imagine. I don't think David Koch will be letting it go anytime soon, but they are in their traditional home strip at the moment. Port Adelaide their away strip up against the Adelaide Crows tonight here at the Adelaide Oval. 15,000 in the house, and it is the home side with the early lead. 1 point over Port Adelaide, and a loss to the Power tonight could do significant damage if the Swans can beat St Kilda over at Docklands. They drop out of the top four, the Power. St Kilda currently up by 5 points, 5 straight 30 to 4-1-25 at quarter time over there. So no huge concerns right now for the Power, but they'd love to get a win considering Geelong fell over last night. There's still the chance they could finish in the top two. It's 139 playing 128 here at the Adelaide Oval. Earlier today, Gold Coast defeating Carlton by 19 points. Richmond defeating North Melbourne by 33 points. Some of the key stats: Port Adelaide leading disposals 92 to 85. Marks going the way of the Power as well, 22 to 14. Tackles going the way of Port Adelaide, 21 to 17. Clearances going to Adelaide, 10 to 8. Inside 50s, Port Adelaide's way by 2, 14 to 12. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL. The second quarter underway with Neil Cross.
Well, you can't argue that Adelaide hasn't been competitive, but can they effectively hold back the tide of Port Adelaide? Out of the middle, Boak smothers the attempted kick by O'Brien, grabs it, hand pass back looking for Drew. Drew goes back further once he gathers it to Bonner, out to centre wing straight away. Fantasia waiting, then finally gives a long hand pass forward to Boak. Has to run around and arc around under pressure from Seedsman. Wasn't a great kick. Hamill picks it up, slammed into the ground straight away. What does the umpire say? He says, I'll have it. Zach Butters saying, well, fair tackle. Why wasn't that holding the ball?
On the reset, Lycett in front position looking for Drew. Just tapped it a bit wide of him. Seedsman gathers, hand pass a turnover to Burton. Trying to get it to Bergman. Didn't sit favourably for him. Lynch sliding in alongside Bergman and gives away the free kick. So Miles has it just forward of centre wing on the western side for the Power. Assessing his options. In his 19th game, short kick didn't have the distance to Burton. Got a hand pass back. Now forward to Lycett. 55 from goal. Centres his kick into the arc. Looking for Rosie. He was beaten by Duday. Couldn't take the intercept mark though. Spills to ground. Overhead. McHenry trying to gather. He can't get it. Duday gets it there though. A hand pass out wide to Hamill. Clearing kick from the Crows. Heading towards centre wing. Aliir once again cuts it off and is paid the intercept mark for the Power.
Hamill's down behind play after that kick. Robbie Gray came across his leg as he smothered the ball. So he's still down inside 50. And Alia's been told to hold the ball up, and I think they're waiting on Hamill, who's up again. So the umpire said Alia can take the free kick. He wanted to go back. Now he decides just to stick it to the top of the 50. Long kick, and O'Brien says that's perfect for me. He comes late and takes a strong mark over Butters. Hasn't got any handball options, which is a bit of a surprise for the ruckman. Now he has. Gives it away to Duday, last second thought, and then Duday goes out towards centre wing. Port Adelaide have the numbers in the pack. It's off hands though. Well done by McHenry. Inboard he goes to Thilthorpe with a hand pass. Then to McKay. McKay approaches 50, and the lead up from Fogarty is hit by McKay. And he will have a look at goal, 45 maybe degree angle, and he's only about 35 out, well within distance for Darcy Fogarty.
One of the few times, Gemmo, we've seen an intercept mark, and that's where you want to get it on that defensive 50, and they were able to move the ball, the Crows, through McKay, and the best inside 50 entry for the night. And who better to have the ball?
Fogarty, in his 39th game, he's kicked 20 goals, 9 this season. Comes in off the boot, he's happy with it. And the 15,000 strong fans, most of whom are Crows supporters, very happy with it as well. So the Crows just stretched to a 7-point lead. 2-3-15 plays Port Adelaide 1-2-8 after 3.5 minutes of the second term on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams.
I just think that isolated passage of play, Adelaide have really struggled to go from the defence to the forward and carry the football with some fluency and keep the defence of the opposition moving, as opposed to just kicking down the line. That's one of the better ways that Adelaide have done that tonight. You spoke Riley O'Brien, took the mark. Duda had to create and do something. And David McKay, we spoke at quarter time just how smart you need to be. He could have had a shot from 50 out, but took the higher percentage option just to kick short to Darcy Fogarty, who didn't have a touch in that first quarter.
So the Crows by 7, early stages of the second quarter. O'Brien gets the tap down, but Wines soccers it out of the air. Works well for Rosie. Takes the mark, but was called to play on and tackled to ground in the centre square. So ball up to come. Tom Duday got Rosie. Not sure what was wrong with the kick from Wines. It must have been touched off the boot. Certainly was 15. O'Brien wins the tap down, works well for Keys. Hand pass out wide for Smith. Spill by Duday. Regathers himself, gets it out wide to Hamill at left half back. The Crows under a lot of pressure, and Keys is met high by the bump from Butters. Looked a little bit sore from it. No free kick. Pops back up and a boundary throwing to come. Right half forward for Port Adelaide, currently down by 7.
Boundary umpire flings it back in. O'Brien opposed to Lycett, who got to the front, just knocked it straight down. Wines kicked it out of mid-air about 3 metres, picked up by Sloane. Gave a hand pass out under pressure. Drew picked it up, centre 25 from goal, and coming out and taking a strong mark was Laddams for Port Adelaide. So he'll go back, and only about 25 metres out, will have a shot at goal.
Just nice work again by Willem Drew. He's started this game in really good form. He's had 9 disposals, going at 100% with his kicks, and just as we talked about with Ken Hinckley at the start of the match, becoming one of Port's real important mids.
Laddams went back beyond the 50, strides in now, hits it poorly, hooks it badly, scores a minor one, and now it's 6 points to margin. Adelaide 2-3, Port Adelaide 1-3 after 5.5 minutes of this second term.
Look, Peter Laddams, it's actually an area of his game he's really improved this year to become that target and that goal kicker. Really poor kick.
Chase Jones exits the 50. O'Brien gathered it from the contest. A hand pass to McKay, pushed as he kicked it. Down the western side, the Power have numbers waiting. Burn-Jones with a hand pass to Bonner. Threw it on the boot, bouncing favourably for Wines. Hand pass over the top to Lycett. Now at left half forward, it's Gray. Flat kick, bouncing towards Fantasia in the 50. Did well to paddle it to his advantage. Gathers and curls it from 45. Too far left. Minor score again to the Power. Now down by 5 points. 1-4-10. Adelaide 2-3-15. 6.5 gone in Showdown 50. The second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Kelly takes the kick in, plays on, sends it long. He was looking for O'Brien. Lycett took it away, but his hand pass was loose. Seedsman picked it up. For Adelaide, sent it down to half forward. Philthorpe tried to knock it on. Now under pressure, he's picked it up in the tackle, on the spin, gave it to Seedsman. He goes to the top of the 50. It's in dispute there, it's on the ground. And Himmelberg's made the tackle over the top, and underneath was Dersma, and circling, and he's going to be gone, Dersma. Umpire had a good long look at it and decided, yep, holding the ball. 51 from goal. Himmelberg goes back.
Correct decision.
How you called it though, wasn't it?
He dragged it in. The players know that, so I'm not sure why they even look at the umpire. It's the most obvious one that there is.
This might be beyond him in terms of distance here, Elliot. He's going to have to kick from about 55 out. Probably want a better kick to go 30 short, possibly.
11 possessions and 2 goals against the Bulldogs last week. He goes long with the kick. It was a stray anyway, and Lycett knocked it through for the minor score. And just quietly, Scott Lycett does not look comfortable after landing then. I know it was mentioned he had a bit of a dodgy Achilles at the moment, but minor score anyway for Adelaide, stretches their margin back to 6 points.
Over at the Docklands, St Kilda leading Sydney by 10 points, early stages of the second there. Out of the 50. Go the power, but it's cut off. Chase Jones at the back of the pack. Centres his kick dangerously for Smith. Amon cuts it off. Hand pass towards Georgiades. He's caught in the tackle and turns it over. Keys now for the Crows to McKay. His hand pass not good. Now Boak to Dersma. Port Adelaide on the eastern wing. Have some space through Butters. Spins around off the mark. Sets it up in front of Burne-Jones. Runs into the 50. Centres his kick too short for Georgiades. Messy football in the scoreboard pocket now. Comes out to Boak. Hand pass back to Burne-Jones. Then returns to Boak. Short kick around the body for Fantasia, who drops an uncontested mark. The Crows can mop it up now across the goal face. They'll go to McPherson.
McPherson right back pocket, called to play on, has to give the hand pass over the top to Jones, in a lot of trouble, managed to get it back to McPherson. He fumbled on the ground and over the line eventually. Is it Amon over the ball for Port Adelaide? It'll go over the line, so they keep it inside their attacking 50. The power, 45 from goal. In the left forward pocket is where we'll get the throw in.
Just really struggling with that final kick inside 50, Port Adelaide. They've had 2 or 3 opportunities, but just keep butchering it.
So toss back in. It's inside the Powers attacking 50. Dixon knocks it down to Wines. Got it on the boot from 45. It's too far right. And on the goal line, Georgiades has knocked Duday into the goalpost. He pops up. He's okay, but a minor score to the Power. And as a result, a 5-point game now. Adelaide 2-4-16. Port Adelaide 1-5-11.
Duday brings it in, goes out to the eastern side looking for Himmelberg, pushed in the contest. Free kick, Adelaide play on advantage. Sloane takes it down to half forward, long with the kick. Looking for a contest there made by Murphy. Comes to ground, picked up by Fogarty. Left foot smothered. Well done by Burton. Fogarty follows up. Hand pass out to Murphy. Left forward pocket, tries to roll it. And I think he may have even put it out. As he put it out on the full, no. It'll be a throw in beside the behind post. He was trying to roll it with the left foot and just couldn't quite get the angle that he wanted. Throw in deep in the forward pocket for Adelaide.
Great smother, Ryan Burton. He's at Port Adelaide really need to keep him fit, don't they? Just the way he uses the football.
Toss back in. Lycett paddles it down looking for Bonner. Turned it over though. Lynch with a defensive hand pass for Cook under pressure. His hand pass nearly cut off by Boak. About 45 out from the Crows' goal in the left forward pocket now. Plenty of players around the ball. Somehow flicks out of the arc in favour of Butters as well. Keeps it in play. Runs around the attempted tackler, and then a flat kick is cut off at centre wing by McPherson. Couldn't take the mark though. Boak with a forward hand pass for Rosie. Keeps it in play. Shrugs the tackle. Runs to right half forward. Connor Rosie now has a runner outside. Hand pass over the top to Fantasia. Forward he was looking. He had 2 options in Gray and Georgiades and somehow hit the Crow in the middle. Held up in the scoreboard pocket now. McPherson paddles it towards the boundary line and Butts will see it over. Orazio Fantasia applying pressure. The Power have had plenty of chances but cannot hit a target inside 50. They're down by 5 points.
I don't think he handles much, Orazio, because that was pretty ordinary.
Waiting on the ball to come back in.
Defence was good by Adelaide too. They waited, they squatted and then did it late.
Another short throw in. O'Brien just taps it forward to Cook. He tries to he does clear the 50 area for Adelaide. Comes to ground. Rosie picks it up. Good handling of the ball again and a good selection inside 50. No, couldn't quite find Wines. Couldn't take the mark. Knocks it forward. It's popped forward again for Port Adelaide. Georgiades, he's gone to ground. Butts picks it up for Adelaide. Off to O'Brien. The ruckman with a nice little pass. He found Schonberg. Forward hand pass to Cook. And then running past was Kelly. His forward hand pass wasn't fantastic, but it was a high tackle by Lycett. And it'll be a free kick to Adelaide. He's trying to pick up Lycett so big. Murphy was the man. He got out from under Lycett's legs and tried to take off. The umpire said no, back behind the mark.
Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams and Josh Money on the boundary. Over at the Docklands, Sydney narrowing the gap. It's St Kilda up by 4 points in the second quarter.
Maybe Josh, we can ask later too. Like Andrew McPherson has dropped some absolute dollies. A couple of players also have too.
I can talk to... Oh, there I am. I'm talking.
Oh, hello,
Very
Josh.
dewy down here. On cue, Jamo, asking you shall receive. It is a pretty clear night, but as you know, at Adelaide Oval, in these night games during the winter, it does get really dewy. So you are seeing those skill errors, and that's, I'd say, largely due to these conditions.
So the Crows on the eastern side. Murphy went to Lynch, then to Cook, back to Lynch, and now they've gone through centre wing to Sloane. He's just behind left half forward. The skipper heads into the 50 for the Crows. Packer waits and O'Brien is left alone in the front. He couldn't take the mark. Dropped it. Coming through. McKay flicks a hand pass out. Himmelberg tries to shrug a couple. He's brought down heavily in the tackle. Messy football, 35 from goal. And the Crows give away the free kick for a dangerous tackle there. Port Adelaide now through Bonner. Clears the defensive 50. Hits up Gray in the square. And he'll kick it wide to the eastern side to Dersma.
He was forced to go that way. Port Adelaide, a lot of players behind the ball. Dersma, meanwhile, decides to come back to this broadcast side with a sideways kick and long and finds Amon. Now he can go forward on the 45, finds Butters near the interchange gates. Butters down the line, wasn't the greatest of kicks. Did it come off the shin? No, it didn't. Of McPherson for Adelaide, who, whilst his handling hasn't been great, he's been in the play. The ball goes over the boundary line. We'll get a throw in near the interchange gates. 5-point lead for Adelaide. 13 and a half gone in the second term.
Toss back in. Laddams in front position, brought it down. Drew gets it to Wines. Then Bergman brought down in the tackle. Still got a hand pass away. Now Drew for the power. Kicks around the body to left half forward. Dixon coming across. Had to paddle it to ground. He had 4 Crows on him. Dives onto the football and is wrapped up by Laird. Umpire again waiting. And consistently holding the ball. Free kick to the Crows just forward of right half back. Rory Laird, the recipient. Bit quiet in this second term. This is his first touch compared to his first. Heads up to right half forward. Hit up McHenry, who dropped the chest mark. Now Bergman, hand pass carries over the boundary line. As you touched on, Jamo, plenty of dropped chest marks tonight.
Yeah, and the players are actually doing that too. They're actually wanting to mark it on their chest, which is allowing the defender to get an arm to it. So we're seeing a lot of football on the ground.
Seen a couple of short throw-ins. What's this one like? No. Well up in the air. And it was O'Brien who got it, but Drew off the pack. Then he gave the hand pass to Bergman, who was well tackled. He had to give it up. He gave it up to Drew, who was well tackled. Umpire said dangerous from Laird. So it'll go back and be a free kick for Drew for Port Adelaide at left half back.
There's been 4 decisions tonight that have been really dubious or haven't been paid by the umpires. I'm not one to normally knock. That's normally your job, Stephen.
The answer.
The answer's back.
Drew went short to Darcy Byrne-Jones. So 15 and a half gone in the second quarter. It's the Crows by 5. They're led by just 1 at quarter time. Byrne-Jones plays on, heads down the line for Dixon. Nearly took it in front of Butts. Sloane was there front and square. Hand pass to Schonberg under pressure. Threw it on the boot for the Crows and turns it over. Houston, hand pass inbound to Dixon. Then Byrne-Jones back to Houston. Threw it on the boot. Too short for Bergman. But can load up into the 50 for Port Adelaide. Doesn't work well for Georgiades. Murray diving, got a fist to it. McPherson now hands it to Schonberg. He's brought down in another sling tackle. This one wasn't deemed dangerous. Boundary throw-in to come inside the attacking 50 for the power. Left forward pocket about 35 from home. It's Adelaide 2-4-16 leading Port Adelaide 1-5-11.
Well, in a heavyweight contest, you wonder, can Adelaide go the distance at this pressure rate?
I don't think Adelaide wouldn't mind playing this type of football at the moment, because Port Adelaide certainly can't get clear. Conditions are heavy. Congestion again, turnover.
And umpire spotted a free kick in there. I think it was against Travis Boak, who took possession and was tackled. Schonberg receives a free kick. He goes out towards the boundary line to Seedsman. Interesting decision. Seedsman fumbled in the wet. And then finally he's going to receive it back from Schonberg, give it over the top to O'Brien. The ruckman inside with his hand pass, finds Laird. He considers his kick off the boot, smothered, finds Lynch now. He's behind centre wing, but a great hand pass, great vision. Inside they move it. Sloan and then Laird, and then he goes just into space and off Himmelberg's legs to Seedsman. Top of the 50 now. They're working so hard, Adelaide, and they've turned it over eventually. And Bonner picks it up and gets it across the top of the 50. Marked in defence by Georgiades, who should be in the forward line.
It was far from ideal, but it was alive and it was just moving forward, which is what Adelaide wanted. But in the end, Port Adelaide were able to take control just inside the forward 50 for Adelaide.
Georgiades went wide to Jonas, who kicked inbound to Mackenzie, and now Dersma has it in the right back pocket, about 35 from home. Short kick still inside defensive 50, finds Houston. He'll take the mark ahead of Chase Jones.
You keep punching Crossy, you'll get to him.
Houston called to play on, runs along the boundary line and heads to the eastern side. In front position, O'Brien tapped it straight to McPherson. Great job by the ruckman. Hand pass back to Duday. Sold some candy, heads it to the 50. Fogarty had Jonas all over him. Managed to get free and take the chest mark. 35 from home. 45-degree angle to the left.
Just brute strength in the end, wasn't it?
Was no assistance there from Jonas. Adelaide were able to get it into one-on-one, and Fogarty's a big man, just stood his ground, and what an opportunity now. Adelaide have really absorbed a lot of pressure. Now the opportunity.
The knock on Darcy Fogarty is he doesn't get enough touches, but he certainly kicks a lot of goals. He's only been goalless in 2 games this season from the 13 he's played. Looking for his second, kicks it from 40, and it's too far right. Minor score to Adelaide, back to a 6-point game. 2-5-17 Adelaide, Port Adelaide 1-5-11. Approaching the 19-minute mark of the second quarter. Over at the Docklands, St Kilda leading Sydney by 11. 16 minutes gone there.
Just a real let-off there, Naren, too. Like Darcy just spoke about his kicking ability, but the ability to mark it in that contest against a very tough opposition.
Speaking of kicking ability, Mackenzie from fullback just launches the ball into the centre of the ground. Adelaide's going to turn it over through Laird and Schonberg off the pack, and then forward to Keys. Now Port Adelaide come the other way through. A good pick up from Orazio Fantasia down to half forward with his kick. Rosie took down McPherson surely without the ball. Adelaide still has possession though, and wide with the kick from Murray finds Murphy. Murphy near the boundary line, eastern side of the ground, goes forward to Cook. Inside with the hand pass straight away from the mark. He went to Seedsman, back to Cook. Inside forward 50, Alir comes across and knocks it over the boundary line. It was looking dangerous for Adelaide, but Alir was there again for Port Adelaide, as he has been for much of the night. 6 points to margin in favour of the Crows, the home team, as we approach time on second term.
Contested footy, Adelaide 35-26 and 7-9 inside 50s in favour of Port.
Toss back in. Himmelberg in front position for the Crows. Paddled it down, but Alir cut it off. Half volley out of the 50 for the power. Didn't work for Fantasia, but Georgiades comes, reads it well. Hand pass back to Laddams, then Bergman out wide. Heads up the eastern wing. Pops it in front of Fantasia. Chase Jones right on him and shoves him all the way over the boundary line. The Crows now can gather. Jones heads inbound to Seedsman. In the centre square, his hand pass for Butts just didn't work well for him. Regathers under pressure. Completes the switch to the western side. McKay has plenty of space to run into. Burst to right half forward and somehow kicked it straight into the man coming across in Drew. The power can rebound. Ricochet to Houston. Central kick into the square. Works well for Georgiades, and they won't use the pace. They'll slow things down the power as they head back to left half back and Willem Drew.
Drew goes down to half forward. He's looking for Boak, edged his man Keys under the ball. Keys follows up, gets the ball away from Boak, just knocks it forward. Adelaide through Butts, a hand pass came out. They work it through the hands to Keys. He's at half back. Down the half forward he goes. Lear in the middle of the pack again. Almost Phil Thorpe brought it down with a couple of touches. At the front was McKay. Falling, he gave it to Schonberg. They get it forward. They've got an advantage now on a man over. And it's running inside 50. McHenry received from the goal. Good vision again from Lynch. And McHenry was steady from 45. And Adelaide just charging forward. 3-5-23. Port Adelaide 1-5-11. 12 the margin, 21 gone. Second term, grandstand AFL.
Just Adelaide's pressure once again. We're able to win the ball back, cause the turnover, and then use it really nicely. And Ned McHenry's probably been criticised a little bit with his ability to use the footy, but that was fantastic. Just steadied himself and just didn't overkick it, put it through the middle. So the Crows are really controlling the game now, Jamo.
Yeah, and it was good to see again, a second occasion too, Adelaide have just sort of knocked it on, got it forward, keep it alive. It hasn't been clean, they've had to work really hard, but it does unsettle the defence, doesn't it? You don't know what to do, you can't sit and wait, you can't anticipate, you've actually got to commit to go, and then that opens up the ground, and Adelaide were able to, again, capitalise on that occasion.
Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams, your experts. It's the Crows by 12 when they get another clearance. Schonberg throws it on the boot, bouncing in open space, coming out. Burton will soccer it off the deck through centre wing. It's cut off by the Crows again. Lynch now shrugs the Lysett tackle. Hand pass forward for McKay at right half forward, over the top, looking for Schonberg. Didn't sit nicely for him. Drew cuts it off. Now the power through Wines. He gets away from a couple of tacklers. Long kick to the logo western side. Duday coming across. Takes the intercept mark on the chest, but there's a free kick for a hold. It's coming back to Boak. Plays on quickly. Gets around the man on the mark. Heads towards Georgiades. Takes it on the chest. Tight angle to the left. 45 from home. Mitch Georgiades for the power, looking for a settler.
Just having a look at Travis Boak and his ability. He's going at 67% with his kicking. The last couple have been poor, but short.
Georgiades went short to Gray. I don't think it was 15, and then he tried to pop it back, turned it over. Keys now can get it out of the 50. The Crows on the western side. Bounced in front of Himmelberg, paddled it back, and now Schonberg, a dribbler up to right half forward. Fogarty does well to get low and gather. He's got a man over the top. Once again, it's McHenry. Open space in the 50, all alone, runs in and puts it through in the goal square. 2 to Ned McHenry. Back-to-back majors for the Crows, and they're up by 3 goals. Late stages of the second quarter. It's Adelaide 4-5-29, Port Adelaide 1-5-11. Surge football working for the Adelaide Football Club.
I think it's it. It's ugly, but it's effective at the moment, isn't it, too? But I just wanted to go back to Travis Bott. Like it has been sloppy, hasn't it, Stephen? Bott caught with their efficiency, and again, whether they're just getting caught, they're trying to stand off. But Darcy Fogarty on that occasion just played it so well. 1-on-3, wins the footy over the back and keeps it alive.
Just the pressure Adelaide are putting on Port. There's nothing easy for them. We've seen them probably miss 4 or 5 targets kicking inside forward 50. And you look at the contested possession, 85 to 69 in favour of Adelaide. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. They're just winning the ball harder at the contest, and Port Adelaide need to wake up, otherwise they're in a bit of trouble.
The question again, can they keep it up, the Crows? They lead by 18 points. Closing in on half-time. Adelaide can't get the centre clearance. Now it comes from Laird to Keys, and they will get the centre clearance inside 50. Lynch. He takes the mark, running back with the flight of the ball. He's been such an important player for the Crows in this first half, and he'll kick it goal from maybe 45 metres out and ever so slightly to the left of the goal face.
Been a tough year.
You sort of thought, Jamo, that the game had to open up at some stage, and Adelaide are just winning the ball out of the middle, and as you said, it's not pretty, just forcing it forward, and it's putting Port Adelaide under a lot of pressure.
Tom Lynch took a while to find his feet this season, just his 10th game. In he comes from 45, keeps it straight, and straight into the post it goes for the minor score. Big thump there, a let-off for Port Adelaide. Adelaide stretches their lead though by just that behind to 19 points. 26 gone, second term.
Have a look at the clearances. 17-14 overall in favour of Port. The centre clearances 3-2 Adelaide's way. The stoppages around the ground 15-11.
Jonas clears defensive 50. Bergman flicks a hand pass looking for Wines, turned it over. Butts is gang tackled in the centre square. Umpire originally called play on, now decides to come in and ball it up. So still in Adelaide's attacking half. Ollie Wines, the last man from the bottom of the pack. Here's the reset. Lysett paddles it down straight to Laird though. Threw it on the boot. It's a massive kick into the 50 and McKenzie does well to read it best. Got away from Himmelberg. Takes the defensive mark for the Power. They're down by 19. They've got about a minute to work with ahead of half-time.
McKenzie goes out to the eastern side with his kick and very wide, and the cannon has overshot. Oh no, that's been ruled that he didn't overshoot. It was ruled as Laddams marking just inside the boundary line. So he goes down the line, looks for Dixon. Dixon gets his own ball at the front of the pack. Then it's smothered as he tries to handball it away. He's fired up. Big Charlie makes a strong tackle. Ball trapped in just inside the boundary line on the eastern side of the ground. Hey, we've only got 15,000 in, but boy, are they making some noise.
Nice to have a crowd, isn't it?
Tossed up centre wing, eastern side. Neither ruck contested it in the end. Quick tackle laid and a ball up coming once again. This time Lysett, the tackler.
Adelaide's Brodie Smith has only had 3 disposals tonight, almost at half-time. Charlie Dixon, Crossy's only had the 2.
O'Brien taps it down and once again the ball is held up, but this time it'll be deemed holding the ball. Diving onto the footy and turning it over is Rory Laird. Free kick to the Power. Scott Lysett to receive it. Has a runner outside. Houston puts it on the boot into the 50 for the Power. Looking for Dixon and time will beat them. Georgiades had a great rise. It was Laddams who flew in the contest. But the siren beating them at half-time. And for the Adelaide Crows, after the week that they have had, they are up in Showdown 50, 4-6-30 to 1-5-11. There's an upset brewing at the Adelaide Oval. The goal scorers at half-time for the Crows, 2 to McHenry, singles to Fogarty and Himmelberg. For Port Adelaide, just the one major at half-time to Zach Butters. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross with you alongside Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams. Shortly we're going to get an Olympics update with Ned Hall, but quickly, gents, your thoughts on the opening half?
Oh, really impressive by Adelaide. Look, we're going to talk about it. Can they hang in there? Can they hang in there? Just the way they're playing. It is scrappy. They're playing in a manner that's making it difficult for Port Adelaide to read and settle and work out what they're going to do with the football at the moment. To hold Port Adelaide to 3 behinds and not kick a goal in a quarter of football is a real credit to the defence. And having a look at that, Will Hamill 24 games, Chase Jones 35, Nick Murray 11, Jordan Butts 21, and then you got Jake Kelly 108 and Tom Duday 49. So in terms of experience, it's really young. And then you could talk, a loss across the other players from Adelaide, but they're creating space. The energy's there. They're tackling really hard. Albeit 30, it's 46 tackles in favour of Port Adelaide. Normally we're talking about Adelaide's inside 50 and haven't had enough shot on goal. They've gone in 23 times for 4 goals, 6 to half-time. Port Adelaide, Stephen, 25 for the 1-goal-5.
Well, we spoke to Ken Hinkley, didn't we, before the game and asked about that ball inside the forward 50 and he was sort of happy enough that they'd win enough of the footy and eventually they'll be able to score, but there's been nothing clean or precise when it has gone inside forward 50. They've had a couple of opportunities, but just the skill level has let them down. They can't really find that target, and Adelaide's pressure, that's been probably the X factor that they've been able to ramp that up, and every time Port Adelaide have got the footy, it's been a rush kick. Adelaide have been able to win it back, and then nothing pretty going the other way, but just quickly inside their forward 50, and some really good one-on-one efforts by Darcy Fogarty. We saw Lynch do some good stuff. David McKay's kicks inside forward 50, so Adelaide have been fantastic, and Ken Hinkley would certainly have to let his players know that what they've put up so far, 1-goal-5, is unacceptable.
So the Crows by 19 at half-time. If you'd like to get in touch with us, the text line 0467 922 891. Over at the Docklands, there's about 2 minutes remaining there in the second quarter. St Kilda leading Sydney by 17 points. And it's the penultimate day of the Tokyo Olympics. We can get an update with Ned Hall now. Thanks for joining us, Ned.
No problem, Aaron. It's the final night on the track as well. And we've just got underway in the women's high jump with two Australians both jumping tonight, Eleanor Pattinson and Nicola McDermott. Eleanor Pattinson's cleared her first jump of 1 metre 84. Nicola McDermott has passed at that level. All jumpers are through so far. Could be in for a long night. Let's see if we have a shared gold medal again in the women's high jump. Later on, we'll have Stuart McSween and Ollie Hoare both running in the men's 1,500 metres final. That's in about 50 minutes from now. That should be a very tightly contested. It's a fairly open race as well. And the women's 10,000 metres race has just started as well. So some big events on the track tonight. It'll all round off with both the women's and the men's 4x400 metre relays. Ed Fernand's also in competition at the moment in the modern pentathlon. He started off the laser run though in 29th place there. And the track events earlier this evening saw Callan O'Brien and Lee Howard drop out of the men's Madison final. Neither of them were in competition there, but Matthew Richardson and Matthew Glaitzer are both through to the quarterfinals. Matthew Glaitzer had to go through the repechage to get there. Matthew Richardson also went a slightly circuitous route as well. His first heat was called off after two riders crashed. When they re-raced after that, he came third, however was promoted to second after the Dutch rider received a warning. Cassiel Rousseau came 8th in the men's 10-metre platform diving final, and the Aussie Stingers, the women's water polo team, ended up in 5th place in their competition after beating the Netherlands this afternoon by 14 goals to 7. The men's kayak 4 finished off their competition in the final today. They came 6th, and the women's kayak 4 came 7th in their final. Meanwhile, Hannah Green ended up in 5th place in the golf. Superb back 9 from her after she dropped 2 shots going out this morning. She was 2 over par on the outward 9, picked up 6 shots up to hole 16 before the lightning came. She went off the course, missed a birdie chance at 17, and then dropped a shot at the 18th hole to miss out on medal contention. Nellie Corder of America picked up the gold medal there. She led from start to finish. Minji Lee finished in 29th. And Sinead Diver, early this morning, came 10th in the women's marathon. They were on the road at 6 a.m. local time in Tokyo due to the extreme heat conditions there. But plenty more still to come this evening. The Australians both in competition now in the women's high jump final. But for now, Aaron, that's all from Tokyo.
Thanks for that, Ned. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL here at the Adelaide Oval. Round 21 action. It is the Adelaide Crows leading Port Adelaide by 19 points in showdown 50. Approaching half-time at the Docklands. A minor score going the way of the Saints. And as a result, it will mean that St Kilda lead 8-2-50 to Sydney's 5-2-32 at half-time there. So St Kilda by 18 points, the Crows by 19 points. Let's take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. New South Wales has recorded 319 new cases of COVID-19 in the latest reporting period. 5 people have died, including a man and a woman in their 80s, a man in his 90s, linked to the Liverpool hospital outbreak. A man in his 60s and a man in his 80s also died after acquiring the virus in the community. Meanwhile, the local government area of Armidale in northwestern New South Wales is in lockdown after 2 new cases were confirmed. Victoria's Premier's flagging more vaccines will be available at state-run hubs as Victorians into their 6th lockdown since the pandemic began. Victoria recorded 29 new cases of coronavirus, all which linked to known outbreaks, but none were in quarantine during their infectious period. Queensland's recorded 13 new community-acquired COVID-19 cases, but authorities are encouraged there as they are all linked to the Delta outbreak involving several schools across Brisbane. Extra fire crews have been brought in from across Europe to help Turkey and Greece battle devastating bushfires. A volunteer firefighter has been killed north of Athens as Greece attempts to bring more than 150 blazes under control. Australia's Hannah Green's finished 5th in the women's golf tournament at the Tokyo Olympics. Green shot a 3-under final round to finish at 13-under overall, 3 shots outside the medals. And sailor Matt Belcher will carry the flag ahead of around 70 Australian athletes at the closing ceremony of the Tokyo Games tomorrow night. ABC News.
On Hard Quiz, only the most important facets of human knowledge are put to the test.
Which US rapper's name sounds like a brand of colourful chocolate?
Topics chosen are critical to the evolution of the human race.
The palindrome rotator is what word spelled backwards?
And experts are treated with the utmost respect.
Well, I'm afraid your parachute hasn't opened this time. You are plummeting to Earth.
Catch Tom Gleeson with all new episodes of Hard Quiz. Back Wednesday, August 18 on ABC TV and streaming on iView.
Be part of the Grandstand Sport team on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Search ABC Sport and see a world of great sport content for you to explore.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Well done by McHenry. Inboard he goes to Dulthorpe with a hand pass, then to McKay. McKay approaches 50 and the lead up from Fogarty is hit by McKay, and he's only about 35 out, well within distance for Darcy Fogarty. Comes in off the boot, he's happy with it. And the 15,000 strong fans, most of whom are Crows supporters, very happy with it as well. At the front was McKay, falling, he gave it to Schonberg. They get it forward, they've got an advantage now and a man over, and it's running inside 50. McHenry received from the goal. Good vision again from Lynch, and McHenry was steady from 45.
Bounced in front of Himmelberg, paddled it back, and now Schonberg, a dribbler up to right half forward. Fogarty does well to get low and gather. He's got a man over the top. Once again, it's McHenry. Open space in the 50, all alone, runs in and puts it through in the goal square. Toon and then McHenry. Back-to-back majors for the Crows, and they're up by 3 goals.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Could we see 2 great upsets, or 3 great upsets in round 21? Gold Coast earlier today defeating Carlton by 19 points. Last night, the Giants defeating Geelong by that same margin. Richmond also defeating North Melbourne by 33 points. But here at the Adelaide Oval, it is the Crows leading the power in Showdown 50 by 19 points, 4-6-30 to 1-5-11. It's been disappointing and embarrassing, a tumultuous week for the Adelaide Football Club, but this squad has come together and they're bringing the fight to the Port Adelaide Football Club, who are desperate to win and make sure they finish in the top 4. A loss tonight would seriously damage their chances. That being said, Sydney, who are right behind them, are currently losing to St Kilda by 18 points. But we'll wait and see what the second half has to hold. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you alongside Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams. Around the country as well, in terms of the NRL, we've had a few games today. So the Warriors defeating the Sharks by 2 points. The Panthers defeating the Roosters by 6. At the moment, 58 minutes gone between the Sea Eagles and the Storm. It's Melbourne leading by 2 points, 20-18 in the NRL. And the Super Netball semi-finals are locked in. So the Giants will play the New South Wales Swifts and the West Coast Fever will play the Sunshine Coast Lightning. That's in the Super Netball, which has had its fair share of dramas bouncing between states as a result of the continual lockdowns around the country. And wherever you are, if you are currently battling, our thoughts are with you on Grandstand AFL, and we'll get through this together. Hopefully a night of football can take you away from the dramas going on in the outside world. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL, though. Round 21 action. The Adelaide Crows leading Port Adelaide by 19 points. The text line, if you'd like to get in touch, 0467 922 891. The key stats at the major break. Rory Laird with 17 touches for the Crows. Harry Schomburg with 15. Paul Seedsman with 12. David McKay with 12 as well. Meanwhile, for the Power, Willem Drew has 14 disposals and 7 tackles. Ollie Wines, 13 disposals. Riley Bonner with 13. 12 to Bergman, Burton, Boak. You'll notice you didn't hear Ben Keys' name there. He's been playing directly on Travis Boak tonight. So Boak with 12 touches, Ben Keys with 9. Keys with the 1 tackle as well. Boak has 4 to his name, so they've been going head-to-head. But at the moment, it is the Adelaide Crows who currently have the Chocolates, leading by 19 points at half-time. Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams, do you see the second half playing out the way that we saw the first, or is it just a matter of Adelaide holding on to this lead?
Oh, I don't think it's a matter of Adelaide holding on. They're just playing the better footy. It's whether Port Adelaide can get the game back on their terms. Carl Amon's such an important link player for Port Adelaide. He's only had the ball 6 times. Butter has only had it 6 times. Gray only 6 times. Pal Pepper, Rosie 5. So a lot of the guys that generate inside 50s and class for Port Adelaide just aren't finding the footy, and that's full credit to Adelaide. They're just making it so hard. Whenever they get the ball, there's that pressure, and then sometimes it's that perceived pressure. Travis Boak isn't having an influence on the game. Ollie Wines has picked up 13 disposals, but really hasn't had an influence, and he's been the leader probably for the last 2 months for Port Adelaide. He's been the guy that has stood up and really pushed them forward. So I'm sure at half-time Ken Hinkley is challenging those players, and they've got a half a footy. It's only 19 points, so it's very much retrievable. But the way Adelaide are playing, they'd have to significantly drop off, and you just see the steely resolve in them, Jamo, that it's going to be pretty hard to see that happening. So Port are going to have to do something pretty good, and it's going to be around the clearances. It's going to be getting it into their forward line and letting guys like Dixon try to do a little bit more in the air, because he's been certainly blanketed out by Butts.
I think Dan Houston's playing more in defence. He's been so good in the midfield in the past, but I guess if they do bring him in there, maybe you have to give up William Drew, because he's running a run with roll, isn't it, too? So
yeah, and they Port the last month or so have marked the ball, and they've had Houston going past, that quick amble, but Adelaide have been alert to that and actually shut them down, so they haven't been able to get that rebound going forward. So it's all been a little bit of lateral movement back and forth rather than going forward, and Crows have done their homework, and they're certainly strangling Port.
And the inside 50s, 25 Port Adelaide, when you have a look, they've only had 6 shots on goal too. So again, how good the defence is, either from the pressure from the midfield, so they can't settle and have a shot from a distance, or when they get it in, the defence is really tight on the players that you've already spoken about. Laddams has only had the 4 touches, Dixon's only had the 2 touches, and then you can go on, as you've already highlighted, through the others that are dangerous around goals. But I think from Adelaide's perspective, it's just I know they want to play a style, and when they have played it really well, they've beaten Geelong and they've beaten Melbourne, but they've been cleaner with their ball movement and how they've worked their way from one side of the ground to the other, and probably is less from one end of the ground to the other. But tonight, I think it's a real noticeable difference in just get it on, just keep it alive, just put the pressure on, and all the reasons that we spoke about in that second quarter. So really positive from Adelaide. Still some players that haven't got a lot of football that can influence the game. I want to see more from Brodie Smith.
Well, he's one, isn't he?
Yeah.
To be up and only have 3 disposals from Brodie Smith certainly is a positive the Crows could look at. But just their toughness, as you mentioned, when they did beat Geelong and when they did beat Melbourne, it was about probably flair taking the game on. But this has just been a real grind. Take them on at the contest, and they've been up for it.
Stephen Williams, Rod Jamieson, your experts, alongside myself, Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross. If I didn't jinx the Crows enough at halftime by saying there's an upset brewing, the last time Port Adelaide had scored fewer points at halftime was against Adelaide in round 20 of 2017. They had just 9 points to halftime. Adelaide went on to win by 84 points, and that was the biggest win in showdown history. So history favours the Crows right now, up by 19 points, with Port Adelaide stuck on 1-5-11.
Don't say anything more for the rest of the game.
That's all I'm going to have to offer there for the remainder of this contest.
Crossy, it's all over to you.
Better warm up.
In terms of the fact that we're only with SA and Northern Territory on local radio at the moment, I will run through the SA NFL scores from today, because there was some history made there as well. Sturt defeated West Adelaide 11-16-82 to 6 behinds, the lowest score in the SANFL since 1913. West Adelaide 6 behinds, losing to Sturt. South Adelaide defeated Central District 98-46. Glenelg remained unbeaten, defeating Norwood by 10 points, 75-65.
So is that 13? That's 14 wins, I think it is now, is it?
Maybe 15 now.
15 wins.
Double check. North Adelaide defeated Woodville West Torrens 67-49. The game that I'm going to get to shortly as well in the Showdown Reserves clash saw Adelaide defeat Port Adelaide. It's 15 straight wins for Glenelg. So Adelaide defeated Port Adelaide in the curtain raiser here by 13 points. The news out of that one, firstly, there was an injury to Luke Pedler, so he hurt his right ankle in the opening quarter and was on crutches. Billy Frampton had 30 disposals playing in the back line, so that new role seems to be working very well for him. James Rowe had 2 goals and 25 touches after being omitted. For the Power, Sam Mays had 34 touches. And in terms of the goal kickers, Dylan Williams had 4 goals, 1. Joel Garner, 2 goals, 1 as well. So Adelaide winning the curtain raiser and looking for the double header here. They're up by 19 points in Showdown 50, 4-6-30 to 1-5-11. I do find it funny, Stephen, that you asked Ken Hinkley in the pre-game about their inside 50 entries, and he said, it's just part of our game plan that, we have messy entries because of the fact that we push forward, but it really isn't working for them tonight.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work against Adelaide, it's not going to work against Geelong and Melbourne and the Bulldogs, I can guarantee you that. So they need to be better. They need to work out how they can move the ball whether it's from the stoppage in the middle forward or whether it's transitioning out of their back half through the midfield. But they've had probably 3 or 4 opportunities with guys clear, but they just couldn't hit the target. So whether it's a skill thing or whether it's a structure thing, they need to work it out.
They play Carlton next week too, so they'll, you would think that they would win that, but then their last game is against the Western Bulldogs. So I think we'll all be keen to see how that one all unfolds. Round 9 was the last time Western Bulldogs got on top, and it was here in Adelaide too by 19 points.
The text line, if you'd like to get in touch with us tonight, 0467 922 891. That's 0467 922 891. Over at the Docklands, St Kilda leading Sydney by 18 points, 8-250 to 5-232. The goal scorers there at the major break. Jack Higgins has 3 for the Saints, and then all individual goal scorers from there. So Jordan Dawson, Oliver Florent, Franklin has 1, Goulden has 1, Kent, Max King, Membry, Papley, Sharman and Jack Steele to cap it off over at the Docklands. So 2 very important games in the context of the top 4. Port Adelaide currently sitting inside of it. And whilst a win for Sydney wouldn't close that gap entirely because of percentage, it does make the run home a lot tighter considering the Power and the Swans are probably the last 2 teams jostling for a position there between the Western Bulldogs, Geelong and Melbourne. So some big results today already. Carlton out of finals contention, losing to Gold Coast by 19 points. Richmond remaining in the hunt, defeating North Melbourne by 33 points. But the Giants, currently the big winners of the round, defeating Geelong by 19 points to be inside of the top 8. Can the Crows hang on here at the Adelaide Oval? They're up by 19 points at the major break in Showdown 50. Whilst a win might cost them pick 1 down the track, I'm sure there's more at stake here in the state's biggest rivalry after the week that they've had. They'd be desperate to get over the line in front of 15,000 home fans. Port Adelaide need a win to make sure they stay in the hunt for a top 4 spot.
Willem Drew and Rory Laird lining up on each other. They're the 2 leading possession winners on the ground as well. They almost nullify each other.
A couple of Australian women involved in the high jump tonight at the Olympics. Well,
how good has that been?
Adelaide certainly raised the bar in this match, and it's up to Port Adelaide to match them in the second half. The bounce and then the battle, and then it's going to be a reset because the umpire, or neither player is, or none of the players able to get the ball free. Finally, the umpire's called it. And Lysett with the tap down. It went to Keys. He cleared the area just towards the wing. Picked up there and a slick hand pass from McKay, found Jones, and then forward he looked for Seedsman. He's at half forward and then pulled his kick brilliantly inside 50. Lynch was in space and off the ground Lysett came through, and Port Adelaide will clear it away through Burton.
Kicks it down the line, 1-on-1. Georgiades was up against Duday. They both went to ground and the Power will receive the free kick. So Georgiades just behind centre wing on the eastern side.
Chase Jones again running off the back line, Aaron, just creating, Stephen.
I've been really impressed with him tonight.
Popped it short to Burton, who goes into defensive 50 to Aaliyah. So Aaliyah, that's mark number 7 for him tonight as he clears defensive 50 to Amon, just behind centre wing, this time on the western side. Carl Amon having a career best season as well. Loads up on the left towards the arc. Packer waits in front position. Georgiades couldn't clunk it. Spills to Murray rather. Quick kick out for the close, turned it over straight to Burn-Jones. Flat kick into the 50 worked well for Georgiades. The turnover costing the Crows. They were out on the rebound, and now the Power have it 35 from home, 45-degree angle to the right.
That's the kick, isn't it, Jamo? We've been talking about that Port haven't been able to execute, but Darcy Burn-Jones just saw Georgiades, took a little bit off it and just laced him out. So now an opportunity for Port.
That kick out of defence from Adelaide was poor. 3-on-1. Riley O'Brien gets the poor bounce.
Missed his first opportunity of the evening. Can he make amends on the second? Mitch Georgiades starts from the paint of 50, kicks from 40, leaning back, straight over the goal umpire's hat. The Power strike first in the second half, a much-needed goal for them. Back down to a 13-point game. Adelaide 4-6-30. The Power 2-5-17. 2.5 gone in the third term on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams.
The pressure from Adelaide needs to continue, and I No, I've harped on Riley Thilthorpe. It's just the way he looks. He looks like he's doing it easy, but he just can't allow Alir to take that mark and then just to run out of their defence as easy as he did. And I think had a bounce on the way through, had nothing to go to, but really assessed it and went short to Carl Amon, and then the rest unfolded.
So Port Adelaide with the first goal of the second half, and their first goal since the 10-minute mark of the opening quarter. Bounce back in the middle. Lycett just knocks it forward. Coming in off the back end of the square was Jones for Adelaide. And now the ball on the ground, waiting for the umpire. He's circling. A couple of Port Adelaide players over the ball. The umpire says, I'll have it just forward of the centre circles in the direction Port Adelaide kicking to that Riverbank stand end of the ground.
O'Brien got the tap down but went straight to Boak, lowers the eyes, flat kick into the 50, hits Laddams. Quick clearance for the Power, and the backup ruck has it 45 from home, slight angle to the right.
Once again, just a terrific kick. Nothing Adelaide can do about that. You win the clearance, you're running free through the square, you've got players leading up at you. Good execution.
Ben Keys on Travis Boak, but just to allow him to run through the contest like that.
So Laddams starts in the centre square, long run up, trying to get distance from outside the 50. He'll kick it. It's very high. Has enough of a carry, but it's too far left. Minor score to the Power. 2-goal game in Showdown 50. It's the Crows 4-6-30. The Power 2-6-18. 4 minutes gone in the third term.
Jones plays on from full back, goes out to the eastern side of the ground. 2-on-1 favours Port Adelaide, and Fogarty held under the ball by Jonas, took the mark. Now the hand pass to Burn-Jones. Wider he goes, out to Dersma. Haven't seen much of him tonight. He goes in short to Fantasia, back to Dersma. Inside 50, goes long and away to the right for the minus score. Actually might have hit the
post.
Goal post. I wasn't sure whether a player or the ball. It was the ball. Thanks, Stephen Williams. Speaking of the boundary, here's Josh Money.
Really interesting watching Brodie Smith's role from ground level. He's moved up to a wing in recent weeks to try and help Adelaide with that forward 50 connection. Still just the 3 disposals, can't get into the game.
Out of the 50 go the Crows. Himmelberg slaps it down, but Boak can cut it off. Hand pass back to McKenzie, and then further down towards Burn-Jones. He centres his kick to his skipper. Jonas looks to complete the switch now out to Burton on the eastern side. He'll head back into the square.
Moving it quicker, Port Adelaide now, and finding a teammate.
Dersma had the runner in Burton. Kicks up to right half forward. Alir had a Himmelberg on him. Couldn't take the mark. Diving onto it, Duday. Couldn't bring it out. Boak somehow gets a hand pass to Alir, and it's deemed a throw. Free kick to the Crows, left half back. Tom Duday to receive it. Currently the Crows up by 11 points in Showdown 50.
Duday looks inboard, nothing available. Now he's called on to play on. Goes down the line, Alir in good position. O'Brien came across the front of him. Laird got it, gave it to Lynch. Inboard hand pass was good, found Keys. Keys takes his time inside 50, and Murphy made his move, and Bonner read the ball off the boot, and he gets it for Port Adelaide. Wide he goes with a kick. Diving across was Lynch to knock it away from Burton over the boundary line. The Crows retain it in their front half. We'll get a throw in.
It's important, wasn't it, too? It looked too easy, poor kick. Ben Keys in there, nowhere near any Adelaide teammate. 3 opponents were able to clear, and just desperation.
Boundary throw in too short for the ruckman, so Sloan can gather, threw it on the boot into the 50, and Alir gets front position against Himmelberg and takes the chest mark. Wastes little time getting out of the 50. Finds Boak on the arc. Hand pass out to Bonner on the eastern side. He'll exit left half back and hit up Robbie Gray. Leading out far from home, the 5-time Showdown medalist. Pops it over the top, looking for Butters. Couldn't take it under pressure from Hamill. Now Seedsman can gather. Hand pass back to Lynch for the Crows. His kick smothered though by Butters. And Fantasia with the diving spoil to get it back to him. Butters into the 50 now. 2-on-2. Georgiades in front position takes the mark. All off the back of a Superman dive from Zach Butters. And now Port Adelaide get a shot on goal. 25 out, slight angle to the left. Mitch Georgiades. Can he get his second?
Sorry, Aaron, just an increased Gemmo in pressure, isn't it? Just to be able to get that arm in there, Butters. He looked like he was going to get beaten and the Crows were going to rebound, but he was able to just cause that little bit of a turnover, and from that point on, Port had the answers.
So the Crows haven't scored in the third term so far. Port Adelaide with plenty of pace, and Mitch Georgiades looking to capitalise on it. It's too far right. Third minor score in a row for the Power. Down to a 10-point game. 4-6-30 to 2-8-20. Ken Hinkley expressionless in the coach's box. Showdown 50. A tight margin on Grandstand AFL.
Just in this quarter alone, double the possessions for Port Adelaide, the amount of football, and Adelaide shouldn't be surprised at the pressure of Port Adelaide or the way that they played in that second quarter, particularly in first half. Wouldn't be any different in this second half.
McPherson played on from the kick in and then went long out to the eastern side. Murray, a free kick in the pack, and he's about to take it. Murray for the Crows. Down the line he goes, ball slips over the pack. Houston with some clean hands to Bonner by hand, and then Bonner just goes back down the line. Picked up by Georgiades in the tackle, he lost it. They go to Boak, and then Boak inboard with a hand pass. Wasn't fantastic, and Adelaide able to turn it over. Sloan's going to pick it up on the ground, but he's under pressure as well. Port Adelaide have really stepped up the pressure to start the second half. Free kick spotted, though, in favour of Adelaide. And it will go to Seedsman, who's now going to play on from centre wing.
Loads up on the right towards the 50. Himmelberg this time got away from Aaliyah, but Lycett came across to assist. Knocked it to ground. Houston taps it towards Wines, who's wrapped up by McKay. Turnover. Himmelberg hands it to Keys from 55 on the left. Open goal square. Ben Keys. The Crows' first major of the third term just settles things down once again. They're up by 16, 5-6-36 to 2-8-20, approaching the 10-minute mark of the third term over at the Docklands. Start of the third quarter there, St Kilda leading Sydney by 17 points, 8-2-50 to 5-3-33.
Very important one, wasn't it? Keys, I think it was Ollie Wines that had the ball but just slipped over. And the Crows were able to win the ball back, and Ben Keys just hasn't been great with his kicking tonight, Jamo, but that was important. Port Adelaide had all the play. They had probably 4 shots a goal, only 1 goal 3, and the Crows were able to get that one back, just as Aaron said, to steady the ship.
Rory Laird, 18 disposals. Harry Schoenberg, he's getting better and he's using the football. He's not explosive, but he's just got this awareness as to where to go, and he can get rid of it very quickly.
Ball back in the middle. Tap down to Laird from O'Brien, who then follows up on the ground, picks it up, sends it down to half forward. Good hand on the ball from Houston. Then he picks it up, goes to centre half forward for Port Adelaide. Hamill with the intercept mark to Laird, and then Laird was loose with the hand pass. Gray has it. 60 from goal for Port Adelaide, goes into the pocket. One-on-one contest, won by Wines. He got rid of Chase Jones, and the umpire said that was okay.
5.
So he'll go back, 45-degree angle, Ollie Wines, and I think I know what Rod Jamieson thought of the mark, and Stephen Williams will go from your point of view as well.
Well, I don't know, it's a bit of a test of strength, pushing him off. 50-50.
Disagreement in the box. Wines,
there is.
And Wines kicks truly. So Port Adelaide get one back. 5-6-36 Adelaide. Port Adelaide 3-8-26. 10-point game after 11 and a half minutes of the third term. Wow, what a contest.
I get the strength thing, and we saw Darcy Fogarty and Tommy Jonas, but you can't grab a player, Tommy Doedee,
He was pushing back onto him, and he sort of just...
His left arm's around his neck.
Yeah, we agree to disagree.
Clash of styles in the ABC Sport box. Love to have it. Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams, your experts over at Docklands. St Kilda now up by 11. Errol Goulden kicking a goal for the Swans. 8-2, 50 to 6-3-39. If you'd like to get in touch with us, 0467 922 891. And don't forget to sign up for our weekly sports newsletter at abc.net.au/sport. It'll give you a weekly wrap of everything that has happened in the world of sport. Here in Showdown 50, the Crows by 10. And they've got a clearance as well. Schomburg from the middle, heads into the 50. Murphy thought he was held. Intercept mark taken in front by Jonas. Murphy's filthy at the official.
Terrific clearance there by Schomburg as well. He's really becoming a player.
Ollie Wines playing deep, full forward for Port Adelaide, allowing Sam Powell-Pepper to go into the middle.
So Jonas went to Mackenzie, and then Burn-Jones still in defensive 50. He'll now head to right half back to Burton.
Port Adelaide getting more of what they want in this third quarter, which is that kick mark and being able to set things up. Burton goes down the line, big contest. Charlie Dixon takes a strong mark, centre of the pack. He's out wide and plays on. He goes to the top of the 50 and Murray goes to ground, and that's in the backs of the umpire from Georgiades, and I thought there wasn't much in that. So Murray will take the free kick right on defensive 50 for the Crows. At left half back, they're attacking the scoreboard into the ground in the third term.
Only 15,000 in the house, but they're certainly getting up and about for this contest. Down the line, Laddams Rose couldn't take it in the pack. Spills to McHenry. He's wrapped up by Dersma. Got a hand pass away, but it was cut off by Houston. The power now through Rosie to Aaliyah. Foot back towards Burn-Jones, and now Mackenzie. They can settle. Oh, no, they can't. Dangerous kick it to the square. He had time, Mackenzie. Nearly turned it over. Powell-Pepper mops it up. Hand pass to Drew. Now on the eastern wingers, Bergman heads to left half forward errantly. Duday cuts it off and stopped very short on the knee. And he's popped up okay. Gee, it was an awkward stop. He had the lead out and grabbed the ball and just immediately removed his momentum. Could have hyperextended the knee.
Yeah, that didn't look good.
It's all good though for Tom Duday. Kicks into the centre square for the Crows. Here's McPherson. Adelaide up by 10 points. McPherson plays on and heads further wide to Butts on the western wing.
Butts can go straight away down the line. He goes to the new boy. First gamer Cook takes the mark between half forward and centre wing. He goes further down the line to half forward to McHenry. McHenry quickly back off, having taken the mark. Slows things, waits. Now he plays on. Goes inside 50. He's trying to hit it long and hard. Aaliyah's in the centre of the pack. Ball comes down to Laird. Off he goes to McKay. Hooks it with a left foot. Miraculous. He's had his moments in this night. David McKay. He's had probably two other opportunities to kick a goal that were easier than that one.
That was the hardest by a mile.
And he's gone with his left foot, and perhaps he should be kicking goals with his left foot. That was brilliant. So the Crows 6-6-42, stretch it to 16 points again. Port Adelaide 3-8-26, 15 gone in the third term.
Eddie Betts would have been happy with that one.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful kick.
Gee, he's been good. This year there was some concern that he might have gone on a year too long, but you know, he's certainly shown with his speed when they've been in trouble. He's gone back and he's created run and carry from behind. We just saw some contests in that St Kilda game too, which turned the game and won it for Adelaide when they played. I think it was up in Cairns at that particular time, but in a roll up forward tonight, looked dangerous. Crossy, as you highlighted too, and in his 246th game tonight for Adelaide, he's going to be up there, and he's been a tremendous, consistent player for a long time.
So the Crows by 16 points from that past run of play. Travis Boak with his 16th disposal passes Scott Thompson's tally of 614 in showdowns. He's now the overall leader. Inside 50, the power will turn it over. Jordan Butts all alone takes it on the chest. So the clearance not a good one for the power. Butts now looks to exit defensive 50 for Adelaide. Heads to left half back. Contest awaits. Burton tried to bring it down. Laird was there. Hand pass to Lynch, who paddled behind his head to Kelly. Now off to Schomburg. Is run down by Drew. The power wastes little time. Gray pops it towards Powell-Pepper. He's about 65 out. Looks for some options and decides to head to the right forward pocket. Lysett sets the screen. Dixon was there, couldn't get a rise. Spilled to the ruckman though. Dropped it in the tackle, and Mitch Georgiades now carried over the boundary line in the right forward pocket. The Crows bringing the intensity, and they're up by 16 points, 6-6-42. Plays 3-8-26, 17 gone in the third.
I might make a comment that Charlie Dixon couldn't take the mark because his hands were both in the back of Butts. That's why he couldn't get him in the air. So the ball comes down off the ruck contest. Butters couldn't get a clean possession. Schonberg did, gave it to Keys. Then he gave it off to Cook, who showed the ball, don't you mind, as a debutant. Down the line he went with a kick. Intercepted by Aaliyah, who's been brilliant at that tonight. He goes back quickly to McKenzie, and McKenzie goes 45 to centre half forward. Nicely done by Port Adelaide. It's picked up by Drew, gave it to Burn Jones. Then the kick into half forward. Coming across the front of the pack as it came to ground was Butters, and he'd taken over the boundary line out there on the eastern side of the ground. Left half forward for Port Adelaide. And Port Adelaide trails by 16 points after 17 minutes of the third term on Grandstand AFL.
McMurray again with a big spoil on Georgiades.
Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams, your experts. Braden Cook on debut, 13 touches, 50% efficiency. Lysett wins the tap down to Drew, into the 50, he goes for the power. Knocked down towards the left forward pocket. Laird was there, gathered cleanly, and as he got his hand pass away, was caught high. Free kick against Zach Butters. Laird in the right back pocket will notch disposal 22. Pops it out to right half back. Schomburg has some space to run into. Takes a bounce along the boundary line and heads to centre wing. Thilthorpe gets the flight over Mackenzie, couldn't take it. The cannon sits low. Now the power, a hand pass to Amon. Then Houston kicks into the 50 for Port Adelaide. Getting away from his man was Laddams. Coming low to ground. He manages to paddle it to Palpepper. Tries to get around two tacklers. They left Laddams alone. Hand pass over the top to him. He couldn't gather. Duday wraps him up. Laird now a hand pass to Keys, and the Crows escape danger.
Well done by Lynch, who gathered the ball as it bounced in front of him. He gave it off to McKay, centre of the ground. He's pulled down straight away. Lynch involved again. Himmelberg got one high. He was surrounded. Relief for Adelaide as they get away. Himmelberg gave it off to Jones. Inside half forward, he looks for the lead up of Fogarty, who takes it in front of Aaliyah. He's 60 from goal, though. It's outside his distance. He's now called to play on. He goes to his left foot. He sends it to the goal square. He was looking for Murphy, but he shanked it in the scoreboard pocket. The ball goes over the line.
Both sides have really cranked it up, haven't they? Both looking to move the ball really quickly, get in their forward half, give the forwards an opportunity.
Chase Jones again, just that run from behind and support. Great kick out to Fogarty again. Aaliyah behind. That's the way Adelaide need to enter.
The Crows by 16. Toss back in. Lysett paddles it down to Drew. He gets it out of defensive 50. 2-on-2 awaits, and Butters does well. Gets some flight on Seedsman, takes the mark. Plays on quickly, turns it straight over to McPherson. Awful kick for Rosie. The Crows now head to right half forward. McPherson finds Smith. Very quiet tonight. This will be disposal number 4 for him. So his first touch in the second half after 3 in the first. Smith has a long boot on him. Skies it into the scoreboard pocket. Lysett in front position, got a fist to it. Spilled to Lynch though. A dribble towards goal is too far right. Minor score to Adelaide. Up by 17 points now. The game high margin at half-time was 19. 6-7-43 place, 3-8-26. Time on in the third on Grandstand AFL.
They've been able to withstand, haven't they? Port Adelaide have come at them, but to the full credit of the Crows, they've been able to withstand and come back at Port.
That's what's been impressive. They've been able to hold the game up when a good side's got momentum on them.
Houston went long after kicking the ball in. Adelaide get another re-entry after turning it over, but defensive mark taken by Mackenzie. So Mackenzie 20 from the goal face that Port Adelaide is defending, and then he drops it out wide and short to Burton. He backs up. He's about 40 from goal, and he'll back up over the boundary line. Now he's called to play on. Forced to go down the line. Crows seem to have good numbers then. Laddams flies for Port Adelaide. Dersma gets it to Laddams by hand, and then just a punch kick further forward. Gray with the tackle from behind on Kelly, and it was a bit high as they went to ground. That arm slipped up, I think. So Jake Kelly with the free kick for Adelaide. He goes back, and it's a shocking kick, and it was intercepted by Rosie. Knocked it down. He's inside 50 with one bounce. He's got another bounce in him. No, he goes with a hand pass over the top, and it'll be a wander into goal for Zach Butters. So Adelaide just give one back. Butters second of the night, and Port Adelaide are coming hard again. 4-8-32 trailing Adelaide 6-7-43. 21 gone, third term.
Bad turnover, Jamo, wasn't it? The Crows really had control, just settling things down, and unfortunately for Kelly, just looked to go inside. Rosie read it really nicely, and once he's got the goals in front of him, you're not going to run him down from behind.
Jake does it a fair bit, actually. He does it too regularly, and he's very one-sided with his left, so he almost says, here I go, I'm going to do what, and it gives the And you've got the speed of Connor Rosie too, and anticipation to be able to do it. Really poor turnover.
That's right. Players sit off, don't they? They sit off far enough to say, well, if you're going to take that kick and they can get there, spoil it, and away he went.
Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams, your experts.
Almost against the run of play, wasn't it? That one, Adelaide had come back and really started to control the game again. So it'll be interesting to look back on this point in time.
The Crows by 11 over at Docklands. St Kilda leading Sydney by 17. Bounce being recalled in the middle here. On the text line, Anthony and Moana has been quick to let us know the full-time score in the NRL. The Melbourne Storm defeating the Manly Sea Eagles 28-18. Reset in the middle. Tap down looking for Keys. He couldn't gather. Spills to Bergman for the power. Hands it to Drew. Great smother by Seedsman though. Spills to Cook, who did well to paddle it back to Seedsman. True centre wing on the western side. Decides to kick defensively, a bit short for McPherson. Gathers off the bounce. Hand pass to Kelly. He's under pressure. Decides to bang it down the line once again. Cook in front position, knocked it down. Drew flicks the hand pass back for the power to Burne-Jones. Then Bergman kicks around the body flat. Cut off by Keys. In front of the benches, he'll run around and send it back towards the 50 for Adelaide. It beats the pack. And Elias sitting back there. He can send it into the centre square. Port have numbers. Rosie gathers a hand pass to Wines, then back to Rosie. Wastes a bit of time and finally pops it short to Bergman. Had the runner in Houston. Over the top, he heads towards the 50. Boak behind Keys. Had to spoil. Gathers and is wrapped up by Duday. Murray now a hand pass to Cook, and the Crows through Keys nearly got a clearance. Smothered by Drew. Now Laddams hands it to the 5-time showdown medalist Robbie Gray. Couldn't convert from the tight angle, 30 out. Minus score to the power. It is the Crows up by 10 points. 24 minutes gone in the third. 6-7-43, plays 4-9-33.
Willem Drew again, just his ability to compete, smother, win the ball back, almost created a goal out of nothing.
Tommy Duday's tackle and Travis Boak saved that goal.
Chase Jones brought the ball back in, and there was a push as Thilthorpe flew for the ball. Jonas was in front. He takes the free kick back inside 50 for Port Adelaide. In the pocket, they go to the left forward pocket, and across comes Duday, knocks it over the boundary line about 35 metres around from the goal face. In the left forward pocket for Port Adelaide. They trail now by 10 points.
Goal either way now is pivotal, isn't it, going into three-quarter time. Port can get within a kick. Adelaide can go in with a bit more breathing space.
O'Brien gets the tap down out of the 50 for the Crows, but Rosie's there. Hand pass to Boak, had 3 on him. Got a kick away, just over the head of Drew. Bounces towards Laddams in the left forward pocket, and Murray runs him down. Ball carries over the boundary line. Toss back in once again. 25 out from the power goal, left forward pocket. Down by 10. Ken Hinkley looking concerned in the coach's box. It's a big game for their top 4 hopes.
Ball back into play. Down the front it comes. Gray comes flying through. Quick hand pass off to Rosie around the corner with a kick, and he's away to the left. He hooked it too far. Minus score. Down to single figures. 9-point game in favour of the Crows still at the 25.5-minute mark of this third term.
3-5 this quarter, Port Adelaide.
Adelaide have led since the 11-minute mark of the opening quarter in Showdown 50. Much to the surprise of everyone, I imagine, in the venue. The Crows head to right half back. Their skipper Sloan has it just inside the boundary line. Plenty of options down the line as players amass at centre wing. Thilthorpe in front position. Lycett got hands to it, couldn't bring it down. McHenry puts his head over the ball and is flung over the boundary line by Houston. Boundary throwing to come just forward of centre wing on that eastern side. 6-7-43, plays 4-10-34. The Adelaide Crows have a couple of minutes to hang on and maintain the lead heading into three-quarter time.
Crows taking it up to one of the sides you'd really consider as in pole position for a shot at a premiership. Off the pack it comes. Brodie Smith slung around high, said the umpire. He got out of a couple of tackles and was then, said the umpire, taken high, and he stayed down. So he hasn't had a lot of the ball, Brodie Smith, and he might not be able to take this free kick. Has a blood rule, so he was definitely taken high, and I think it might have been Scott Lycett who put his hand up and said, yep, sorry about that.
I think it was accidental in the contest, wasn't it? He had his head down.
Yeah, Brodie come up and was sort of going down as Lycett come in and just into his legs.
So it's on centre wing, just on the side of the square, and in fact, Lycett really not to blame, because on the replay we can see that Smith saw him coming and just went up in a ball. He ducked his head, and as a result, he's been opened up, and that's stopped the game for a moment. So Adelaide 6-7-43, Port Adelaide 4-10-34. Adelaide led by a point at quarter time and by 19 at half time, and now it's 9 points 27 minutes into the third term. Grandstand AFL, Neil Cross, Aaron Bryans with you. Alongside us, our experts Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams.
Had a couple of surprises already this round, Crossy and Aaron, but the Saints, with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, 69-46 up over Sydney.
Some real concerns with Brodie Smith. There was 4 trainers out to assist from both clubs. He's got a towel over his head to stop the blood as he ducked straight into Scott Lycett's knee. He'll be slow to come off the ground.
One of the worst areas too. You're hot, you're sweaty, and you get cut up there. It opens up. I remember we played Collingwood at Victoria Park one day, and Mark Bickley got the biggest gash I've ever seen at the top of someone's head, and it was just gaping, and it was, I don't know how many stitches he had in it, but we thought that's it for weeks on end, and he actually got it stitched up and then played the following week, I think, with a helmet on. So
I think Brodie will need a few, Jamo, because his face is lit up with blood. We'll head down to Josh Money and see how Brodie's looking.
Yeah, blood absolutely streaming from the head of Brodie Smith, who's just earned a round of applause as he walks to the bench. I can see it visibly. It's a big, big cut on the top of that head. So he'll head down to the rooms now for all the relevant tests and to get that stitched up. Ben Davis, the medical sub, warming up.
Yeah, they're going to be a quick decision too to make. 3/4 time will come to allow that.
Kelly goes long inside 50 for the Crows. Off the pack, Cook is there. Couldn't gather cleanly. Spills out. McKay's trying to gather under pressure. Sliding in, Jonas did well. Hand pass to Bonner wasn't clean. Picked up by Murphy for the Crows. Threw it on the boot, kicking centrally. Bounced into the face of Lycett. He couldn't gather. He's getting boos for the knee. That was accidental. And Wines can clear the 50. There's a free kick for a hold. Centre wing, western side. It's going Adelaide's way. Surprised that poor Scott Lycett's receiving some boos, although didn't make any friends with his dangerous tackle on McHenry earlier in the year. The Crows have gone for a switch. Chase Jones out to the eastern side. And then Hamill finds Seedsman, plays on. Flat kick into the 50 and cut off well by Bonner in the middle of the pack. Port Adelaide with the intercept mark in defensive 50, down by 9.
Fogarty run under the ball. So it's flared out wide. They've gone to Amon. He's in the scoreboard pocket. Goes for Dixon. Butts knocks the ball to the front of the pack. Ball on the ground. Through comes Butters. He escapes. Gets the kick down to half forward into the path of Rosie. If the ball stays in, they're in trouble, Adelaide. Rosie keeps it in, but coming in and taking the ball that he left behind was Jones for Adelaide. He got it to Schonberg on centre wing. Schonberg 1-2 away from Dixon, a little bit of a step. Down to half forward. Himmelberg made a good contest this time of the Lear, but Port Adelaide able to swing it away through Bonner. Goes to the flying Dersma. That's almost a turnover as well. It will be, because it'll be McKay who put his head over the ball, and he'll take the free kick. He's outside 50. Seedsman was beside him for the hand pass and the long shot for goal, but McKay decides against that. Now he goes into the pocket, stabs the kick for Thilthorpe. On the lead, found space, tough angle. He will take the shot at goal. Josh Money on the boundary.
And Davis, the medical sub, is stripped and ready to come on. I guess with the amount of time that it'll take to clean up Brodie Smith and go through the test, and with not much time left in this game, they've decided to take no risk. So Ben Davis will be coming on shortly.
Will be coming on to start the final term. So the kick after the siren. Thilthorpe starts his run from outside the boundary line, sends it at goal. He liked it. He liked it right up until the last couple of metres. It hit the left goalpost. So at 3/4 time, what a match we've got. The underdogs, the Crows, have really put down a challenge to Port Adelaide. At 3/4 time, Adelaide 6-8-44 by 10 points over Port Adelaide 4-10-34.
What a finish coming up for you in Showdown 50 on Grandstand AFL. The goal scorers at halftime for the Crows, 2 to McHenry, singles to Keys, McKay, Fogarty and Himmelberg. For the Power, 2 to Butters, singles to Wines and Georgiades. It's looking likely that Brodie Smith will be subbed out for Ben Davis as a result of a head collision with Scott Lycett's knee, ducking into an attempted tackle. Over at the Docklands, St Kilda leading Sydney by 30 points now. Stages of the third, 12-4-76 to 7-4-46. So Port Adelaide may be able to get away with one if they do lose this contest. But I couldn't think of a better way to finish Showdown 50, the culmination of a 31-year rivalry. We get a great thrilling finish on ABC Radio in South Australia and the Northern Territory and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Know the story with ABC News Digital. Get the latest breaking news with live notifications whenever you want, wherever you are.
They are considering going to zero emissions.
We'll go ahead as planned.
And abruptly ended the case.
It will help us all get back to normal and back to all the things that we love.
Those are the kind of things that work.
There's hope for a brighter future.
ABC News, Australia's most trusted news source. Head to news.abc.net.au or download the ABC News app.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Quick kick out for the Close, turned it over straight to Burn-Jones. Flat kick into the 50, worked well for Georgiades. The turnover costing the Crows. They were out on the rebound, and now the Power have it 35 from home, 45-degree angle to the right. Starts from the paint of 50, kicks from 40, leaning back, straight over the goal umpire's hat. The Power strike first in the second half, a much-needed goal for them. Knocked it to ground. Houston taps it towards Wines, who's wrapped up by McKay. Turnover, Himmelberg hands it to Keys from 55 on the left. Open goal square, Ben Keys. The Crows' first major of the third term just settles things down once again. They're up by 16.
60 from goal for Port Adelaide, goes into the pocket. One-on-one contest, won by Wines. He got rid of Chase Jones and the umpire said that was okay.
Test of strength, pushing him off.
Disagreement in the box. Wines,
there is.
And Wines kicks truly. So Port Adelaide get one back. Goes inside 50. He's trying to hit it long and hard. Alia's in the centre of the pack. Ball comes down to Laird. Off he goes to McKay. Hooks it with a left foot. Miraculous. Jake Kelly with the free kick for Adelaide. He goes back and it's a shocking kick. And it was intercepted by Rose. He knocked it down. He's inside 50 with one bounce. He's got another bounce in him. No, he goes with a hand pass over the top. And it'll be a wander into goal for Zach Butters. So Adelaide just give one back.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
It's been one of the most difficult 48 hours in the Adelaide Crows' history. But at the moment, in Showdown 50, you wouldn't know it. They lead Port Adelaide by 10 points heading into the final quarter, 6-8-44 to 4-10-34. The Adelaide Crows looking likely to be without Brodie Smith as a result of his head colliding with Scott Lycett's knee, accidental, but Brodie Smith looking likely to be subbed out of the game, and there's no better story to come from it. The Indigenous footballers at the Adelaide Football Club having a taxing week, and their man who designed their Indigenous Guernsey, Ben Davis, gets a chance to become a hero in Showdown 50. He'll play his second game of the year as the medical sub for the Adelaide Crows. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you on Grandstand AFL. Your experts to preview the final quarter. Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson, Port Magpies Premiership player and coach Stephen Williams.
Well, the 22-minute mark of that quarter, we'll talk about it, Stephen. Adelaide did everything. They held up momentum. They were able just to slow the game down, and Jake Kelly went inside and turned over the football, and Connor Rosie got it over, and Port Adelaide were able to score. The intensity really lifted through their ability to use the football. You could see them leading up. They were a bit more precise with the way they used the football. And just had a look at the handball receives as an indication. First quarter, 25-24 in favour of Adelaide. 42-28 in favour of Adelaide. That quarter, 18 Adelaide, 34 to Port. So that's effort, work rate, support, and wanting to get the ball going and get it forward. And it was really evident the way that Port Adelaide played.
Yeah, they did, John. They probably left a few goals out there, didn't they? A 3-goal 5 that quarter, missed a couple of gilt-edged opportunities. And I think this game is going to come down to whoever takes their chances in this last quarter. 10 points is certainly gettable for Port, but whenever they have looked to threaten, Adelaide have been good enough to get that goal just to keep that little bit of distance. So Travis Spoke, I thought, really lifted that quarter. He got his hands on the ball. Willem Drew, again, was fantastic. So there was a lift through their midfield. Wines went forward, kicked a goal. Amon needs to get himself into the game a little bit more. Wines is in the middle there now. So Port have got their big guns in the centre square, and they're backing them to win those clearances and give their forwards the opportunity.
Score update in the men's basketball in the Tokyo Olympics, the bronze medal game. The Boomers lead Slovenia 47-43 late in the second quarter. Quickly down to Josh Money on the boundary.
Ben Davis lining up on a wing, so that medical sub has been activated. He's into the game.
So it's the Crows by 10 points in Showdown 50. Can they hang on for one of their greatest Showdown victories? In the middle, O'Brien opposes Lycett. Neither got a clean tap, but Lycett can gather off the bounce. Threw it on the boot into the 50 for the power. Dixon's in front position. Butts had a hold of one of his arms. Ball ricochets at the back, and there's a huge collision. Murray collides. Oh, that's awful. Big head clash.
Oof.
Meanwhile, the power will go on to score a goal. They've capitalised on the opportunity, and that was one of the most sickening collisions I've seen in AFL football. Nick Murray's just got up at the moment. Will Hamill's still down on his back. Both players colliding with incredible force. And Port Adelaide have gone on to capitalise through Orazio Fantasia down to a 4-point game. Adelaide already activating their medical sub, and they may be down a couple more players. Will Hamill has been told not to move on the ground. The trainer's essentially keeping him still. Nick Murray's got back to his feet.
That was massive, wasn't it, Jamo?
Yeah.
Just the way that they collided there.
Nick Murray came flying out.
Unfortunately for Hamill, Murray braced himself and has collided with his forearm into Hamill's head.
And just that whiplash when he hit the ground, his head sort of whipped back and hit the turf as well. So he's in good hands. He looks like he's talking to the physio there.
So the Crows will be a man down as a result of this. Brodie Smith already subbed out. The stretcher's making its way onto the Adelaide Oval ground. Port Adelaide capitalising with that goal to bring it down to a single-digit margin, 6-8-44 to 5-10-40 at the start of the fourth quarter. But this is something you don't like to see in AFL footy.
Oh, and the health and well-being of players is an absolute premium. And then on the back of that, Port Adelaide go ahead and kick a goal, and now it's down to 4 points. It's going to stretch the rotations. Both teams now have come together. Adelaide close to the centre of the ground, and Port Adelaide in the halfback flank as the ambulances come on.
Will Hamill's already missed one game this year through concussion, so that's, that was from that sling tackle, was it, with Scott Lycett in the last showdown? Did he get a concussion out of that, or was it later in the season? In any case, he has been concussed previously.
Melbourne? Against Melbourne, I think it was.
Yeah. So in any
Nick
case,
Murray too. Crossie's had one. He missed. We went up and he had that big sprawl and came down and landed and also hit his head on the turf. I mean,
so you talk about moments in matches. Like we've already talked about the Zach Butters goal that came from a errant kick from Jake Kelly in the third quarter and brought the margin when Adelaide looked like they had a measure of control, brought it back to 11 points, time on in the third term. And now to start the final term, this collision has really stopped Adelaide in their tracks, and the fact that the ball went forward from that contest that those players ran into each other, and Fantasia was able to kick the goal. So a double blow for Adelaide, and every precaution being taken, as you'd expect with Will Hamill. This is a long, long delay, and they are just now lifting him up on the stretcher and preparing to get him onto the golf cart.
So Hamill's concussion was last year against Melbourne, and he's had 2 in his career so far, so this will be the third, which obviously isn't great news for any player to have one concussion, let alone multiple ones. But
at a young age too.
So Jamo, put yourself in the coach's box. Adelaide's had a very difficult week, and the playing group has rallied to get in front here. And they're now 2 men down, or 1 technically if you count the medical sub, and Port Adelaide are charging. How do you regroup?
Well, I think you just saw Dan Jackson, in a leadership role at the Adelaide Football Club. He's a runner. He went out and had a chat to the guys whilst they were in the huddle, so I'm sure he just would have been reinforcing what was said at three-quarter time, what Matthew Nix and the coaching group are looking for and what needs to be done. They've done all the work. They've done all the effort. They know Port Adelaide are going to come, as they did, Stephen, in that third quarter, and they were able to wrestle it back. Guess what's happened throughout the last couple of days and has been in place for, weeks, and there's been few people that know about it, but those types of things right at this very moment don't come into it. The players don't think like that, but they know that they've seriously got a contest here and they're up against a quality opposition, and they've just got to dig deep now. And 2 men down, that's what they'll be going with 2 men down. How good would this be? We have to continue to play and just move the footy forward in a manner in which we have, and just defend as hard as we possibly can. And if they get on head or they get a goal or 2, we have to just slow the game down, be measured, and then start to win it back. But you just can't hold the game here. You've actually got to continue to score.
Yeah, well, the opportunity is there for, one of, if not the greatest showdown win. If Adelaide can hang on here, no one gave them hope in hell. And then with a couple of injuries as well. So these players have an opportunity. It's going to really revolve around the guys in the middle. We saw Port Adelaide get that quick entry into their forward 50 straight out of the middle of the ground. So if Adelaide can hold them there, they'll certainly go a long way to them winning the game.
So Adelaide's positional changes, looks like Ben Davis, who's come onto the ground in any case for Brodie Smith, he's rotated now to half back to replace Hamill, and Braden Cook's gone to centre wing to replace Davis, where he'd started the quarter. So the applause, of course, for Hamill as he is being taken off the ground. They're just about to the Crows race. And of course the incident happened near the goal square at the other end of the ground, so it's a long journey, fairly slow one as well. They want to take every precaution. There's medical staff sitting there ensuring that his neck stays in correct position so that there's no chance of any further damage. And still the umpires wait, because they're making a decision about how he, or which race he should go down and how he should be taken. And they've decided, rather than go down the Crows race, they're going to take him down the other side to the visitors race, which is the other side of the goals, if you like, at the Riverbank stand end of the ground.
Well, that goes underneath, and then it just works its way around to the change rooms as well, and they wouldn't be able to start until the ambulance is off the ground. So,
which is why the umpires are holding up play.
So the Crows up by 4 points. Delay here, obviously, in the fourth quarter as Will Hamill makes his way off the ground. Over at the Docklands, fourth term underway there. St Kilda leading Sydney by 24 points. 12-4-76 to 8-4-52. So what do the Adelaide Crows have in store for the remainder of this contest? They're 2 men down, and they hang on to a 4-point lead in Showdown 50. Can they rally? The fourth quarter back underway. In the middle, Lysett taps it down. Went straight towards Laird. He's wrapped up by a couple. Ball up to come.
So this will go 27-28 minutes. This is going to be a long quarter.
O'Brien now wins the tap down, looking for Laird. It's cut off by Boak, though. Hand pass back to Burne-Jones. Threw it on the boot. Bouncing to left half forward. It's cut off by Davis, the medical sub. Now to Seedsman. A 1-2 with Duday. And barrels it towards the 50. Will fall short of the arc. Aaliyah in front position, couldn't take it. Burne-Jones is wrapped up by a couple. Intensity still there for the Crows, and a ball up to come. 55 out from their goal line.
Ben Davis has put on a fair bit of weight. He's worked hard in the gym over the summer as well, and just his calmness there to run to the footy was well short of him in these slippery conditions, and used it well.
Butters half volleys the ball, ducked under a tackle, was taken high. The umpire says free kick, so he'll take the free kick at half back. Davis will have his work cut out from his gym work, because he'll be tested by Pal Pepper, who's no shrinking violet. He's a big boy. So Port Adelaide to take the free kick at half back through Zach Butters.
That's why you do it, though.
Butters goes long to the logo on the western side. Dixon up against Laddams in the contest, really. Neither could take it. Spills to Sloan. Hand pass back to Butts. The Crows now head up towards right half forward. Spoiled to ground by Butters. Rolls in front of the benches. O'Brien tackled by Lycett. Got a hand pass away. Davis puts his head over the ball. Shrugs a couple of tackles as well. Hand passes to the skipper and Sloan. Then Keys. Now Seedsman. Darts around a tackle attempt. Hand pass over the top to Davis. Now kicks it inside 50. He's looking for Himmelberg. Philthorpe comes across and neither can get a hand to the ball. Aaliyah over the back takes the intercept mark for the Power.
Himmelberg just lost his footing, so he goes short to Houston, and Houston short again, or going forward with his pass to Burton. Burton stabs a ball towards centre wing, and finding a bit of space there was Wines, pushed away from Keys, gave it to Butters by hand. Then he goes across the centre circles to Pepper down to half forward. It's too easy for Port Adelaide. Orazio Fantasia leads up, trying to lure the man on the mark to make a move and perhaps get a 50. Now he goes inside 50 with his kick. It wasn't fantastic. Adelaide could repel. There was a sling tackle there. The umpire said play on. No, it's coming back. It'll be Duday, who was slung to ground by Laddams.
Yeah,
who'll
right
take
in the
the free kick.
Picked it up across the 50 metres away.
I'd like to see Fantasia get the that little thing out of his game where he tries to plead to the umpire to entice the guy on the mark to move.
Yeah.
Duday cleared the 50 to Jones, then forward hand pass to Cook, who turned it straight over. The Power now through McKenzie, short pass to Georgiades. Wastes little time, heads to the scoreboard pocket. Gray at the back, got rid of Murray but couldn't take the mark. Murray did enough to get a hand to it, knocked it out of play in the scoreboard pocket. 25 out from the Power goal. They're down by 4. 11 minutes gone in the final quarter, and it's going to be a long one. Will Hamill stretch it off the ground. Brodie Smith subbed as well.
Oh, it's ugly throwing.
Knocked to the front by Laddams, picked up by Pepper against the boundary line. He gives it to Boak. He tries to screw it back. It's out. Yeah, it came off the hands of Keys in the end. So about 10 metres around from that behind post in the right forward pocket for Port Adelaide. We'll get a throw in. I did take note, Hamill's situation took 7 minutes, so that will extend the quarter through until about 34 minutes or thereabouts.
Toss back in. Laddams got in front position against O'Brien. Couldn't tap it cleanly. Laird got a quick kick under pressure. It bounces off a few players and Bergman's there to get it. He's brought to ground. Ball up to come. 40 from goal. Slight angle to the right. Crowd of 15,000 in tonight. The majority Crows fans. They're riding this wave. Adelaide up by 4 and they get it out of the 50. O'Brien takes it from the ruck and clears it. Free kick in the contest for a hold is going back to Port Adelaide. Elliot Himmelberg thought he'd received it. He was actually the offender against Scott Lycett. So Lycett on the logo centre wing, hands it off to Houston. Skies it into the 50. Pack forms, Dixon in front position, Georgiades in the middle, and on all of that, a mark is taken by Ollie Wines. How did he manage to clunk that amongst a massive array of tall forwards? Ollie Wines, who's been sensational for them in the middle this year, has a chance to put Port Adelaide in front for the first time since the 11-minute mark of the opening quarter.
He's, do you reckon he's had Brownlow medal form? Is he? He's played that well, hasn't he?
He has. Well, Port have won a lot of games, and he's been probably the best player when they're best and fairest. So,
Wines starts from 55, kicks from 45, minor score to the left. Couldn't capitalise on the opportunity, and the Crows hang on to the lead. 3 points the margin, 6-8-44 to 5-11-41. 13 minutes gone in the fourth quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Duday brings it in from fullback, goes to that Himmelberg-Aaliyah clash, and Adelaide managed to take it away forward. It finds its way to Seedsman, who received the hand pass from O'Brien. Inside forward 50, just Burton. Gee, he made body contact with McKay just to put him off, and then came back and took a chest mark and then peels off a kick into the centre of the ground. Himmelberg came across, knocked it away. Umpire said illegally. Orazio Fantasia wants the free kick, gets it. Back into the centre square for Port Adelaide. He stands, he waits, and now he'll go long down to half forward. He looks for Dixon opposed to Butts, who got it to ground. Now it's picked up by Lycett. Hand pass forward for Boak, gave it back to Lycett, pursued by O'Brien. hooks it back. And the mark taken solidly there by Schonberg, who was taken down after he took it. Travis Boak very slow to get up to. Schonberg plays on, down to half forward, looks for Himmelberg. Aaliyah comes late. Himmelberg almost took the mark. And then it's tapped over the line by Jonas. And he was aiming, I think, to tap it towards Aaliyah, and that's why he got away with it, because it just went straight over the boundary line, ball to be thrown in.
I think Ryan Burton's hit that kick 4 times, hasn't he? In the middle of the ground. Yeah. It's really set up Port Adelaide from the halfback.
Toss back in. Lysett tapped it down, but Laird's there for the Crows. Hand passes back to Schonberg, then Seedsman barrels it with the torpedo into the 50. Murphy in front position, couldn't take it. Spoiled by Jonas over the boundary line. Right half forward for Adelaide, up by 3 points. 15 gone in the final quarter on Grandstand AFL. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamison, Stephen Williams with you. It's a thrilling finish in Showdown 50.
Ball comes in. Lysett with a couple of taps. Eventually, they work it away through Amon. He kicks the ball back towards centre wing. Murray got his arm around Latham somehow and knocked it to ground. Now he's got his head over the ball. Nobody can get possession. Pack of about 5 or 6 players. Latham stands up eventually. He's taken down. They're fighting hard. Finally, it's Sloan. He gets it back to Schonberg for Adelaide. He scrambles the ball towards half forward. Coming through and picking it up. Well done by Burton, but off his left foot. He got it only as far as the intercept mark for Jones for Adelaide. Peels off a kick to centre wing. He found Laird. Wide hand pass for Schonberg. Down to half forward. Well done to Lynch. Lynch just outside the forward 50. Goes centrally with his kick. He was looking but not finding one of his own. Bergman picks it up. Port Adelaide under immense pressure. It comes to Aaliyah and he gets out of the defensive 50.
Looking for Butters and coming across, spoiling it out of play is Chase Jones. He's been revitalised in the new halfback role, the former pick 9 rather.
Best I've seen him play, I reckon, Jamo, who's been really good tonight.
Yeah, it's really composed, balanced, picks his mark, uses it well. Schoenberg too. Improving all the time.
He's been good, isn't he?
Lysett wins the tap down against O'Brien. Again, Laird is there, though, for the Crows. Hand pass to Seedsman. Over the top, he's looking for Schonberg. Slides a boot in against Jonas. Messy football at right half forward for Adelaide. The power can gather, though. Burton gets it out to Jonas. Kicks around the body to centre wing. Powell-Pepper couldn't take it. Coming through, Rosie is gang tackled. Davis is right amongst it, the medical sub. Brings him down, centre wing, western side. Ball up to come. Adelaide by 3.
That'll be a good matchup too, Connor Rosie, Ben Davis. They're similar moving players.
Schonberg can't get a decent kick away after taking it off the ruck contest. Ball on the ground as you were. Umpire comes in and takes it away from Rory Laird, who was at the bottom there with Carl Amon of Port Adelaide. Laird now just soccers the ball from mid-air as it came off the ruck contest. Lynch picks it up, but he's immediately pushed over the boundary line by Houston for Port Adelaide, and so a throw in there at right half forward for Adelaide. They lead by just 3 points. The margin was at a game high 19 time on in the second term.
It's the sort of game that it doesn't seem that there's going to be a lot of goals in it, Jamo, from now on. You know, maybe 1 or 2. So if Adelaide can get the next one, they're odds on.
Sloan got the crumb back to Jones, then Seedsman inside 50, bounced off the contest, spilled to Dersma, then Houston plays it smart. A short kick to Laddams at left half back. On the western side, the Powers backup ruckman has it.
Adelaide kicked 3 in the second quarter. Port Adelaide kicked 3 in the third. So you're right, 1 or 2 might do it.
Down the line he goes. Dixon claims the pack mark. It isn't paid. His hand pass is turned over to Butts. Now Seedsman. Hand pass inbound. Hits Schonberg. Got a runner and his skipper Sloan. Then forward to McHenry. He's in trouble. Got a hand pass away to Seedsman. This messy chain of handballs works for the Crows. Now Lynch over the top to Fogarty. They just kept scrambling and surging. It's been the story of their evening. And now Darcy Fogarty has it. Tight angle to the right. 40 from home.
He's the man you want, Jamo. It's a tough kick for a right footer, but we've seen him nail some of these.
Distance won't be a problem.
No. And really nice work. Harry Schonberg's having a great last quarter, isn't he?
Yeah.
So Fogarty from the tightest of angles. Oh, it's outside of the boot. And lucky to go through for a minor score. No, it's sat on the full.
It's probably the best result, actually.
Turnover
other
to the
than
power.
Other than a goal. 'Cause he's...
Thought you changed allegiances there for a second.
Well, he's got to just force him back down the line here.
So Aaliyah does have to go straight back down the line. Long kick. O'Brien comes through, just knocks it to the front. Dersma picks it up for Port Adelaide, down towards centre wing. Bounces off a couple of hands, then to Rosie. Interesting hand pass, kicked out of mid-air by Zach Butters down to half forward. Or another big collision. Running back, McPherson with the flight of the ball for Adelaide. Ball on the ground inside the centre square. It was a tackle and taken down. It's Houston in the end. Bergman was taken down as well, and now the umpire comes in and says, I'll have it. So it's between the circles and the front end of the centre square for Port Adelaide.
Tommy
Ball will be
Duday.
thrown in the air.
What another great tackle.
Laddams takes it out of the ruck for the power. It's coming back, though. Free kick for a hold.
No, behind. Is it behind? Oh, the umpire. This is what makes me really angry
Paying
here.
it to the power, but they got the clearance.
Why not let it play on, yeah.
So Willem Drew has it in the centre square. They're down by 3. Hands it off to the runner. Bonner now goes into the 50. Trying to get a flight as Georgiades. He's caught behind. Knocked to ground. Pepper tries to, block a couple of Crows players to get Butters free, but he just can't get a hand pass away. Rolls over the boundary line to be tossed in on the arc. Port Adelaide coming. It's close to their 50 and they're down by 3.
Grandstand AFL at the Adelaide Oval. Showdown number 50. What a game it's been. Off the ruck contest, O'Brien knocked it down. Seedsman found it. Down the line he goes. Adelaide unable to clear it away though, and a smother came from McHenry as it looked like Port Adelaide was about to go forward through Houston. So he smothered it over the boundary line near the interchange gates. Slightly towards Port Adelaide's end of the ground. We're going to get a throw in. It's 3 points the margin. It was 10 at three-quarter time in favour of Adelaide. The Crows remain up by the narrowest of margins.
Lysett taps it down and Bergman will carry the ball over the boundary line to be tossed back in. So time on in the 4th. Adelaide by 3. We know it's going to be a longer quarter. Will Hamill stretch it off after a collision with Nick Murray.
Still 10 minutes to go, Aaron, on the clock.
The good news for Will Hamill is there's vision of him walking around in the room, so that's good. Brodie Smith also subbed out of the game after ducking into a Scott Lysett tackle and copping a knee to the top of his head. So Ben Davis, the medical sub, is on.
Just going to take some class now, Jamo. Some good hands around a stoppage. It can get somebody free, either Port or Crows, to get the ball inside their forward 50.
Seedsman and Bergman on either side alone.
Lysett brings it down straight to Bergman. Dribbles the kick away from the contest. It's cut off by Jones, though. Soccer's off the deck towards the boundary line. Schomburg keeps it in play with one hand. He scoops it up, heads towards the arc. McKay crunched by Aaliyah. Huge collision as Bergman now gets a hand pass out to Dersma. The power can rebound up to centre half forward. Dixon in front position. The ball fell too short. McPherson's brought down by Pepper. It's a one-on-one. Rosie trying to get away from Murray. Soccers it to his advantage in the left forward pocket. Murray runs him down, but Gray gets the hand pass to Pepper. Magnificent! The Showdown's greatest player with a remarkable assist to Sam Pepper. Port Adelaide have hit the front. Sam Pepper curls it from 30 and Port Adelaide are up by 3. 6-11-47, plays 6-8-44. 22 minutes gone in the final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Just a bit of class, wasn't it, by Rosie, just to keep the ball alive. Nice handball to Gray, and then he was able to release Pepper.
Just calm heads, isn't it?
Yeah,
You just assess the moment. There's pressure there. You're on the boundary. Let them come to you. And talk about Darcy Fogarty up one end. You want Robbie Gray at the other end with the foot in his hand, and Connor Rosie too. And
still plenty of time though, Jamo.
Yeah.
Still over 9 minutes. So Adelaide supporters listening in, still plenty of time.
Our experts, Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams, also known as The Answer. I will remind you that just a few seconds ago he said it would take maybe a little bit of class and maybe only one goal to win this match. Well, Port Adelaide's got the goal out of the middle. Keys for Adelaide couldn't get a decent hand pass away. Bergman picks it up, then drops it. Keys just kicks it inside forward 50 for Adelaide. Houston comes across, takes it for Port Adelaide, sends it wide with a long kick looking for Fantasia. McPherson had the better of him, takes it towards the boundary line. Well done by Boak, put the pressure on. Now he gets a kick away into the path of Fantasia, but Adelaide able to bring it away off half-back. It'll go to Cook for Adelaide, and he'll kick it down that eastern wing.
Turns it straight over, though. Aaliyah reading it best against Himmelberg. He's been incredible tonight. This is his 11th mark.
Just has been impassable.
He has, hasn't
times.
he? Yeah. Just one-on-one, the way he can use his body just to get his opposition off balance and then mark the ball.
Short kick to Dersma behind centre wing. Skies it up to right half forward. Lysett could have taken the mark, decides to spoil it straight up and down. Sloane's there for the Crows. Hand pass to Butts, then Cook. They now head down the eastern wing, and Himmelberg will guide the ball over the boundary line to be tossed back in. So Port Adelaide in front for the first time since the 11-minute mark of the opening quarter. It's 6:11:47, playing 6:8:44 over at the Docklands. St Kilda leading Sydney by 23 points, time on in the fourth.
Had a couple of tough games, Port Adelaide, haven't they? Like Collingwood was a tight one.
Giants was a tight one.
Yeah.
Ball thrown in, it was short. Lysett went after it, gave a hand pass away to Wines. Around the corner for Port Adelaide, down to half forward. Brilliantly done by Laddams, just held off his man. Inboard he went with the kick. Found Powell Pepper just inside the centre square. Powell Pepper goes back, sends it long. Here's where the tall forwards will come in. Dixon with a strong mark. It's Port Adelaide's ace up the sleeve, the tall forwards, and Charlie Dixon is the tallest and strongest of them all, takes the mark.
Spoken all night about can Adelaide hang in there? Can they hang in there? Now it's a couple of occasions, it's deep, it's late, it's going to be a long quarter. And now Adelaide have got to get it back.
The big key forward, Dixon, comes in from 25 out, not much angle, and not many problems for Dixon. So Port Adelaide, all of a sudden, out by 9 points with that goal. Port 7-11-53, Adelaide 6-8-44. The Crows haven't scored in the final quarter after leading by 10 points at the final change.
Just having a look here at the last, so it's 7 apiece in terms of inside 50s in this quarter alone. Port Adelaide going at 67% in terms of efficiency, Adelaide 56. But the return 3-goal wonder, no score cross here as you just highlighted. Handball receives, Adelaide are trying to 29-19, so they've swung it in their favour. The contested mark is the real standout in this quarter. 6 to Port Adelaide, 0 to Adelaide. So a real concern in the air. Port Adelaide have been dominant.
The Power up by 9. There's still 7 minutes remaining in Showdown 50. In the middle, Lysett gets the tap down. Laird sliding in, caught in the tackle. Lysett tries to paddle it to Boak. It went through his legs. Picked up by Bergman, though. Threw it on the boot around the body to centre half forward. Georgiades was there, couldn't take it, but it spilled to Powell Pepper. Now Rosie. Hand pass over the top to Amon. Runs into the 50. There was a whistle off play, and Amon didn't know where to go, whether to play on or to stop. It'll come back to Sam Powell Pepper. 55 out from goal.
He didn't even know he had it.
Had a runner. Opted not to use Bonner and instead gave it to Amon. Darts around a tackler. Kicks from the arc towards the goal line. Mark taken by Georgiades. No, I think he had it and it's just slipped through the hands. Minus score on the right-hand side. Port Adelaide up by 10 points now. 7-12-54 to 6-8-44. 27 gone in the final quarter.
Adelaide quick to bring it on. And they've got it through Murray towards centre wing, off hands, over the boundary line, straight in front of the benches. So we'll get a throw in. Adelaide working hard, but Port 3-2 for the quarter and taken over this match. They lead by 10 points. Ball comes back into play. Lysa taps it down. Keys, hand pass wide for Adelaide, looking for Laird. Sloane makes a tackle now as the ball comes to Boak, and then down the line he went with a quick kick. Jones wanted to claim a mark. The umpire said no. Rosie jumped on him, forces the ball up.
On the reset, O'Brien wins the tap down straight to Schomburg. Brought down by Boak, but got a kick away. Tumbles to Bonner though. Cuts it off for the Power. Threw it on the boot errantly. Bouncing for Georgiades, he couldn't take it, but got it to Rosie. Hand pass back to Georgiades, who has a couple of fumbles, and Davis comes across to mop it up for the Crows. Hand pass in front of Keys, didn't work favourably for him. Ladham's brought him down without it. Boundary throw in to come as the ball carries over the line. Over at the Docklands, St Kilda look to keep themselves in the hunt for the 8. They lead Sydney by 29 points, late stages of the fourth there, so it looks likely they've notched that win.
Grandstand AFL here at the Adelaide Oval. Ball on the ground from the ruck contest from the throw-in. It's come Adelaide's way in the end to Seedsman. Picks it up, wheels around on the right leg, goes long. Aliir is there again, opposed to Himmelberg, and this time Himmelberg gets a free kick. And yet he was behind. I don't know how he was held. In any case, he's got the free kick. He has been guilty himself of giving away quite a few. So he goes down the line with a kick. It wasn't bad. McHenry, though, the shorter player, unable to get Jonas out of the way. Burton fumbles a ball deliberately towards the boundary, did it well, and then receives a free kick for holding on from McHenry.
Just no need to touch him, man. Just sort of let him go.
The Power by 10. And they have it in the left back pocket through Ryan Burton. The Crows down Will Hamill and Brodie Smith after separate injuries, as the Power head towards left half back. From the contest, it spills to Butters. He's brought to ground by Seedsman. Butts now can pick it up for Adelaide. Sold his skipper into trouble. Dixon gets him and brings him down. No prior, ball up to come.
Just got to assess it better then, Adelaide, too. You've got time. Looks like Butts is limping, so he didn't want to kick, but he's given it to a player under enormous pressure.
On the reset, Lysett looking for Wines. He was under pressure and couldn't get a disposal away. Laird now back to Seedsman. Adelaide head towards the 50. It falls in the middle of the pack. Gathered off the bounce by Himmelberg. Into the 50 for Thilthorpe. Couldn't take it. Darcy Byrne-Jones paddles it to Burton, who's run down by McHenry. Ball up to come. 30 from goal. Slight angle to the right for the Crows.
Adelaide's opportunity.
They have to score here.
Yep.
They just have to. There's 4.5 minutes to go. 30 out in front. Need a score.
Thilthorpe takes it off the pack, got it, ball to boot, and it was marked by Murphy, didn't go 15, it's play on. Boker's got it, he slips a hand pass out in a tackle, and then the Crows eventually couldn't grab it before it went over the line. Forward pocket, 5 or 6 metres around from the behind post in the right forward pocket for the Crows. They're heading towards that southern end, and they're just chasing Port Adelaide at the moment, trailing by 10 points on Grandstand AFL.
Toss back in, Lysett in front position, got it down for the Power. Mackenzie's there. Kick was smothered though by McHenry. Over the boundary line it goes once again to be tossed back in, about 40 out from the Crows' goal this time.
Been lots of smothers tonight, Gemma, hasn't it? Desperate players, that was really important, that one too. Keeps the ball inside Adelaide's 50, gives them another opportunity.
Quiet night for Riley Thilthorpe, 6 disposals, just the one behind. They need him to stand up here. O'Brien back into the ruck with Lysett. In front position, he gets the tap down to Sloan. Hand pass to Laird. Oh, he's turned it straight over. He went back looking for Seedsman and gave it to Bergman. The Power clear to the western wing.
Great mark.
Butts does well to intercept it. They can go again, Adelaide.
That was great. You know, big Dixon, a slighter body midfielder from Adelaide, just was able to get that. That was terrific.
Ball sat up a bit and it was knocked away by Jonas, but then picked up by Murray. Sends it back inside forward 50 for Adelaide. Intercept mark taken easily. Aliir with the assist, if you like, then. He kept Himmelberg away. And Dan Houston took the mark for Port Adelaide.
Smashed Adelaide, haven't they, in those contested marks in the forward half for Adelaide. It's been all Port Adelaide.
Houston to a pack on the wing. At the back is Laird for the Crows. Shrugs 2 tackles and gets a boot away. Burton gets rid of McHenry. Gathers for the Power. Sold Bergman into trouble. Seedsman gets him. Ball carries over the boundary line. Boundary throw in right half forward for Adelaide. Down by 10. 33 minutes gone. It's a longer quarter. The Crows have 3.5 minutes to find an answer. Otherwise, Port Adelaide will win 4 straight showdowns. Toss back in. O'Brien wins the tap down. Drew tried to gather, but Sloan socketed into the 50. Houston had a fumble. Lynch can gather. Hand pass to Sloan. Then Keys, under pressure, gets boot to ball. It sits up in the left forward pocket. Himmelberg got a hand to it, couldn't bring it in. Aliir gets it out to Jonas, who turns it over straight to Tom Lynch. Threw it on the boot from 30! Tom Lynch keeps the Crows alive. A massive major. At the 34-minute mark, Port Adelaide leads 7-12-54. The Adelaide Crows 7-8-50. There is 2 minutes 60 remaining in Showdown 50, and we still don't know who's going to be the victor. Your experts, Rod Jamieson and Stephen Williams.
Oh, that was the one that Adelaide were after, wasn't it, too? They just had to get it. David McKay's come off. Darcy Fogarty's gone on. Harry Schoenberg, who's been so influential, is just sitting on the boundary waiting to come on. Laird, Keys, Sloan in the middle.
How important is this centre clearance, Joe?
Totally, isn't it? Eamon, Wines, Willem Drew in there. Riley O'Brien, Scott Lycett. Such a critical centre bounce and clearance.
It all comes down to this. And Keys, well, he had a chance. He couldn't clear it for Adelaide. Coming off the wing, Dersma got it to Amon for Port Adelaide. Amon went wide with his kick, very wide. Out there, McPherson, and he took it over the line for Adelaide under pressure from both Wines and Boak for Port. So we get a throw in. It's a right half forward for Port Adelaide. Adelaide a long way from their goals, needing one more to get in front. Port by 4 points late in Showdown number 50.
Bergman back, Rosie back. Adelaide have gone back to even up the numbers.
O'Brien won the tap, but Drew cut it off. Hand pass to Wines into the 50. It's bouncing for Dixon. He paddles it to Gray. Hand pass to Laddams, who missed his boot. Murray can gather. His kick smothered though. The Crows desperate to get the ball, and Dixon will stop them. Hand pass to Amon. Back to Wines. Got around his tackler, heads towards goal. Ollie Wines, too far left. It just stayed up in the air for ages. And the minor score going the way of the Power. They're up by 5. 35 and a half gone. 2 minutes remaining. The Crows head down the corridor through McPherson.
And he's found the mark of O'Brien. O'Brien with a measured kick. Found Seedsman. Just on the logo on centre wing, inside half forward wasn't great, could work for them, perhaps. Ball on the ground, numbers around, it's inside 50 for Adelaide and it's not coming out. Yes, it is. It came out to McKay, he kicks for goal. In the goal square, it was a battle there between Jonas and Fogarty, and Jonas was able to knock it through. Rush behind, 4 points the margin again. 36 and a half minutes into the last quarter.
1 minute 40 to go. McKenzie with the football.
Probably a good result for Port, wasn't it? The behind rather than a throw-in.
We know exactly what the cannon Trent McKenzie will do here. He's going to waste some time by playing on and loading up down to the eastern side. It's a huge kick to a pack. Dixon ends up spoiling it back towards the arc, and it will roll over the boundary line to be tossed back in. Left half forward for Adelaide. 1:31 on the clock. 4 points the margin. Over at the Docklands, St Kilda defeating Sydney by 29 points, 14-9-93 to 10-4-64. It's great to have your company on Grandstand AFL. The conclusion of Showdown 50. Lycett in front position, tapped it down. Keys got there though. Threw it on the boot, it was smothered. Ricochets to Dersma, he's brought down in a tackle. Did he dive on the ball? Sloan's got him. No free kick. Justin Power says ball up, attacking edge of the square for the Crows.
Well, Port Adelaide defending, they're in front, 4 points a minute, just over a minute to go. And Adelaide players got to stand up here and really make a mark.
From the ruck contest, Lycett picks it up. Just got it back towards centre wing. Found its way to Dixon, just tapped it on as best he could. Adelaide need the ball. They can't get their hands on it. It's knocked forward in the direction of Gray. He picks it up cleanly. That's what Port Adelaide needed. Gray went back to Amon. Takes a look around, takes his time. His kick inside 50 wasn't great. There was a high attack on the ball on McPherson, and it came from Butters. So Adelaide a chance to clear it. They get it across to Jones. They switch sides, and Aaliyah is going to be in the way of Jones's kick.
Got a man up now.
So Aaliyah takes the mark for Port Adelaide on centre wing and just holds on.
35 seconds on the clock. Aaliyah heads up to left half forward for the Power. Cut off by Duday. He's taken the mark, has he? Yes, play on. Duday wastes little time. 30 seconds to go. Down the western wing. Bergman in front position, can't take it. There's a free in the contest. His arms were chopped. 15,000 fans in attendance.
Incredibly soft.
They are filthy with the decision. Miles Bergman on the western wing runs out the clock, and the Power hang on. Heartbreak for the Adelaide Crows. 4 straight showdown wins for Port Adelaide. They maintain their hold on a top 4 spot and remain kings of South Australia.
We got the power to win, power to rule. Come on, Port Adelaide aggression. We are the power from Port. It's more than a sport. It's a true Port Adelaide tradition. We'll never stop, stop, stop till we're top, top, top. There's history here in the making. We got the power to win. We'll never give in till the flag is ours for the taking.
The Power winners by 4 points in Showdown 50, 7-13-55 to 7-9-51. Adelaide led at every break, but Port Adelaide with 3 goals to 1 in the final term to take the victory. The Crows were battered and bruised. Will Hamill stretched it off. Brodie Smith in the hands of trainers with a blood rule. And they just couldn't hang on in one of their most difficult weeks. They brought the fight to the Power, but in the end, it is Port Adelaide with the class and finish for their 15th win of the season. Port Adelaide still in the top 4, a couple of weeks out from the finals.
It's more than a sport, it's a true Port Adelaide tradition. We'll never stop, stop, stop till we're top, top, top. There's history here in the making. We have the power to win. We'll never give in till the flag is ours for the taking.
Port Adelaide winners by 4 points in Showdown 50. We'll head downstairs for the Showdown medal presentation very shortly. We'll recap the game as well with you here on ABC Radio South Australia, Northern Territory and ABC Sport Digital. Before we jump into Port Adelaide being able to come from behind and get the victory, Jamo, I have to ask, after the week that it has been, how proud of you of the Adelaide Crows right now?
Well, I'm always proud of, of what we're capable of and what you see. It's such a young group that really took it to, a top 4, top 5 team tonight and was able to do that for, 3.5 quarters. And I guess what Matthew Nix and the club are trying to do is it has to be consistent. We spoke yourself, also Crossy, at times we just said, can Adelaide hang on? Can they hang on? And they've shown they can, but they just can't hang in there long enough to be able to turn the tide. And then when you throw in, the Will Hamill and Brodie Smith are off the ground, and then it's just moments. And there's a couple of those that we spoke about in terms of turnovers. Jake Kelly's one, clearly that is it's a game changer in terms of momentum. And that last one there, Chase Jones coming out, albeit it's late in the game, it's not the reason why Adelaide lost, but it contributes to it. You come through the middle, you use the football better, and then you're away. Adelaide in that second quarter were keeping that type of football alive, and they were unable to do it. So it's just going to be a continual learning.
And Stephen, for you, hearts racing obviously, but Port Adelaide at the end of the day get the 4 points.
Yeah, well, they were lucky. They didn't play well, but full credit to Adelaide. Adelaide didn't let them play well. They took their game away from them. They were tough and strong at the contest, and with that result, the way it went in Melbourne with the Saints beating Sydney, it became so much more important for Port Adelaide. It gives them a 2-game break now, so and percentage. So it was such an important one, and they just were able to do enough, just a little bit of class. Connor Rosie was able to keep that ball alive, get it Robbie Gray across to Powell Pepper. He was able to steady, and we said there probably won't be a lot of goals in this after those couple of initial ones in the last quarter, and there wasn't. There was that one, and that put Port in front, and they were able to hang on. The Crows got the last one with Tom Lynch, and another 30 seconds. Who knows what might have happened, but Port were able to do enough, and they held on and go away with the chocolates.
Ryan Burton, outstanding in the back line, 10 marks. He was great, 26. Ilira with 11 marks as well. So those two players in particular were able to hold up Adelaide on numerous occasions. So again, Adelaide needed to change the way they went into their forward 50, but they just bombed it away. And some really good quality plays in defence made it hard for Adelaide.
Aliir is the winner of the Showdown medal in Showdown 50. An incredible evening for him. In the back line, he had 11 marks, 21 disposals. Such an important recruit for the Power in season 2021 as they shape up for another finals tilt. Here's Aliir speaking now after receiving the Showdown medal.
Thanks everyone for coming out. It's a good hit out, so cheers.
Quality speech there from Aliir.
Very brief, very modest. Congratulations to Aliir. And congratulations to Port Adelaide, winners of Showdown number 50.
Obviously not the response you'd imagine either, considering it's an Adelaide Crows home game. 15,000 in the house, but they've been quick to flee the venue at the Adelaide Oval. Tom Jonas has decided to come say a few words after the short speech from Aliir. Let's hear from the Power skipper.
I just got a few quick thank yous. Crows boys, you're having a red hot crack. Love the way you go about it. Bad luck tonight, but thanks to the great fight. To our little posse down there behind the goals, thanks for making heaps of noise, and everyone watching back home. And my boys, well done tonight. Showdown win's a showdown win. Fuck yeah.
Apologies for that remark there from Power skipper Tom Jonas, but obviously excited about a win in the 50th Showdown. Port Adelaide 4 straight now. And for the Adelaide Crows, heartbreak for them as they came so close to another unbelievable upset. They've had a few this year, and certainly the takeaway from season 2021 will be improvement. They've had 6 wins and come close in a couple of others as well, and the hope is that they'll be contending for finals, or at least around the mark this time next year. Port Adelaide make their way to the northern end to celebrate with the few supporters that were able to get in the limited numbers available of tickets, but at the end of the day, it's the Crows fans who will go home disappointed, but as Rod Jamieson, I guess, said, a little bit proud.
Notice the two coaches coming together too down there. Matthew Nix, the Crows coach, a former assistant under Ken Hinkley, the Port Adelaide coach, just talking over things and how they unfolded and catching up. I don't imagine they catch up too many times this season.
Oh, they spent 8 or 9 years together too, and before Matthew Nix went to GWS for that 1 year and came back, and probably be surprised actually, to everyone listening, the amount of time that I think the opposing coaches do talk to other coaches, because there is this bond and there is this friendship, and sometimes when you are at that level of a coach, and Stephen, you could probably talk the same about Mark when he was there, and you're in sort of an elite, but you don't really have too many others to actually talk to.
No, there's not a lot of them, is there? There's only 18. So, they have, and the Coaches Association keeps them together in that forum. And, they do. They have good relationships. So, great to see. And, another fantastic showdown. The Crows, by all rights, had no right to be anywhere near Port Adelaide. But that's the beauty about these games, 50 of them now, and it's 26-24 to Port Adelaide, so you can't get too much closer than that. So just a great rivalry, and it's great for the state that it wasn't a blowout. That Adelaide were able to just shut Port down, and we talked at quarter time how Adelaide were winning contested possession pretty comfortably, and also clearances, and we looked to see how it finishes. And Port 165, Adelaide 156, clearances Port 36, Adelaide 33. So it's amazing how many times Port Adelaide win that statistic, they win the game, and although it wasn't by very much, it was just enough. And 4 points, that's what 4 points was, a couple of contested possession and a couple of clearances.
You have the occasional blowout, but again, it doesn't matter where you are on the ladder in this type of contest. The occasion, the moment, and albeit Tommy Jonas said a little bit more than maybe what he needed to, but
that was his Sturt when he's an ex-Sturt boy. I think that's where that comes from.
No, it's ex-Norwood.
Oh, Norwood, is it?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Even worse.
See what's happened when he's gone down the road? But again, a showdown win's a showdown win, and that's what it means to both sides. It's a big game, and it's probably the first, when the fixtures come out, both Port Adelaide and Adelaide look to see when they are playing, because they get unfortunately not tonight, but you get 15,000, but you normally get a packed stadium.
Well, imagine 50,000 here tonight. That might have been enough to get Adelaide over the line, because there would have been majority of Adelaide supporters. And the Crows have been a bit stiff with their home games, haven't they? It must be costing the bottom line a fortune with, not able to get people in.
That's right. What do we have? 43,000 here for Port Adelaide's home game earlier this season, and we know the only one that was last year was only a couple of thousand people, but it was a Port home game, so it's been a while for Adelaide. But you'd have to say, overall, looking at that game, it's a worthy addition to the showdown games and the history that's been produced between these two clubs.
And there's always different types, isn't there? There's the skillful shootouts, and then there's the dour struggle like we saw tonight. Just a lot of contested footy, a lot of pressure around the ball, and obviously the conditions, it was a bit slippery, so that made it a bit tougher. But, a kick here, a kick there, and things could have been different.
I know what you were saying, Aaron, around. Again, it is. You come here, because I openly came. I always back in Adelaide. I'm optimistic around what they can do, and having seen, as we all have, what they are capable of, but they're just not doing it long enough and enough too. But I was driving here tonight just going, I just don't want this to be an absolute smacking and a big blowout. So for, as terrible as this might sound, I'm not comfortable with just losing like that, but the way that they were competitive, and then the players and the rotations and the young group and how they hung in there and persevered, I think most members and supporters will be pretty proud.
Yeah, because Adelaide have probably dropped off a little bit. The year started off well, then they've gone through a period where a lot of their footy, they were beaten by sides perhaps they should have got a bit closer to, but I'm sure Nixie would have been pretty pleased with the application and that tonight to say that. And that's the great thing about footy. It doesn't matter who you are. Who would have thought the Giants would go down to Geelong and beat them down there? So if you've got the right mindset and you come with a plan and can execute it, you're a chance. It doesn't matter who you're playing. And we saw that tonight. Adelaide almost pulled it off.
Stephen Williams, Rod Jamieson, your experts, alongside myself, Farron Bryans and Neil Cross. We're going to try and head into both rooms very shortly. We're with you for the next 27 minutes on Grandstand AFL. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, the text line 0467 922 891. It is Port Adelaide, winners of Showdown 50, 7:13:55 to 7:9:51. Let's head down into the power rooms and hear the song. So Port Adelaide 15-5, and as Stephen Williams mentioned before, now a 2-game gap over Sydney and a 3-game gap over Brisbane at the moment, who are yet to play this round, because earlier tonight St Kilda defeated Sydney by 29 points at the Docklands, 14-9-93 to 10-4-64. So the talk of Port Adelaide all year has been that they haven't beaten the other premiership contenders around them, and arguably they didn't deserve a top 4 spot, but there is no reason right now, considering Geelong lost on Friday. They're now on the same amount of wins as Port Adelaide. The Western Bulldogs still to play this round, and it is unlikely that they lose to Essendon, but you never know. At the moment, Port Adelaide is still in the hunt to finish minor premiers and could even be top 2, and we know they're basically locked in for the top 4 spot now. But for the season that they've had and the wins that they've had, they're still right in contention.
Yeah, I think if you can get the job done, they mightn't have beaten too many sides above them, but a few sides above them couldn't beat sides below them. So, and at the end of the day, the finals is another season basically. So you jockey through 23 rounds to get yourself into a spot, and you finish 4th. You're playing the Bulldogs' first final, and you haven't beaten them during the year. I don't think you're too worried about that.
No,
it's out of one game, and away you go.
Well, you go back to 2 of the most famous premierships we've had in the last few years, which would be the year 2016, the Western Bulldogs. This time of year, nobody was saying, the Western Bulldogs going to be a real go. They were just in the 8, and it was perhaps only the first time that the bye week before the finals was instituted that actually allowed them to be able to go as far as they did. And then we look at 2017, we say, Richmond's nowhere. Yes, they've won. I think at that stage they might have won 5 games in a row, but they were just in the 8 and nobody thought they could go all the way. And they were, jockeying for position like Port Adelaide is. So things can change, and if you're in form at the right time, as you say, you find a way after 23 rounds to get to where you need to be and then go from there.
That's right. No, I think most importantly tonight, I don't think they had any injuries. So once again, Robbie Gray gets a game under his belt, so he'll be better for it next week. Butters has had another game. Dursman's had another game. So Fantasia didn't do much, but at least he's had another run under his belt. So that's probably, after the 4 points, the fact that no one got injured is the next best thing that the coach is hoping for.
History tells you, though, the best defensive team is normally up there and very close. And you have a look at the top 4. The Western Bulldogs at the moment are the best defensive team by quite a mark, maybe 6 goals. Then it's Geelong. Melbourne is actually the best one, but they're still to play tomorrow. So, and then it's Geelong, Port Adelaide, so they're up there. They're well and truly up there. And in more recent time, it is the defences have been, the top 4 or 5 have sort of been within a couple of goals of each other as well. So it doesn't always guarantee you that you're going to get there, but it puts you right up around the mark that you'll be close to playing in the last day in September.
And they're just going to get better. That's what we talked to with King Hinkley about at the start of the game. Defensively they can stack up, but I think it come back to haunt them last year. They weren't able to kick enough goals at the end of the day. We saw them in that game against Richmond, just kept blazing the ball to the Richmond defenders, and they just are marking the ball. So they just have to be better when they go forward, identify some players, lower the eyes, hit some targets, or use another chip kick so you can run it in and get it deeper inside your forward 50, because that's the one area that they're not nearly as good at as Melbourne or the Bulldogs or Geelong.
There was a lot of talk earlier that maybe Butters was the player that they were missing, and I think we spoke that he's the one for Port Adelaide to actually be successful this year. Losing quality players and fast and skillful players is always going to be a challenge, but I think the one play for me, there's no doubt Aliir. If he happens to stumble at some point, which I ideally hope he doesn't, I think at the moment, the way he allows the defence to be able to set up and the others down there to play, and the role that he can play and how he does it, I think it's added it's a tremendous recruit.
And the fact that he marks the ball, you look at Tom Jonas, he'll just punch the ball away. When Aliir gets it, he's created the turnover from the opposition, and then they're away again. Yep. So that should be a real advantage for them.
Where's Tommy Cleary? Is he done for the year? He's
been played in the earlier game. Yep. So he's being held out by Trent McKenzie's good form.
So he's another one too that's almost that he more wants to punch and get it on, whereas Aliir adds really another dynamic to that defence of Port Adelaide.
Earlier today, Brett Montgomery joined us on SA Grandstand and actually said he felt Tom Cleary was in Port Adelaide's best 15 players.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Just couldn't break in because the back 6 is doing so well right now.
He had an outstanding year last year. Mm-hmm. He had an outstanding year.
He had 11 touches in the reserves game as well earlier today, Tom Cleary. So he's certainly around the mark and will be ready when the opportunity pops up. Port Adelaide winners of Showdown 50. 7-13-55 to 7-9-51. On the text line 0467 922 891, Anthony says, do you know the head-to-head now between the Crows and the Power? So Port Adelaide leading the head-to-head 26-24. So they've won 4 straight now, and the overall lead is 2 in terms of the Showdown tally there. We can head down into the winners' rooms because their skipper Tom Jonas can join us following the victory in Showdown 50. Congratulations, Tom.
Cheers, boys.
Take us through the game. I guess obviously you're on the back foot for the majority of it and then come away in the final quarter. So what wasn't working in that opening half and then what changed?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but sometimes you just got to win them, and compliments to the boys for digging deep in the second half. I think we got outworked around the contest, and that was reflected in contested ball, and managed to correct that in the second half. And then there was some big individual efforts that sort of just wheeled us over the line. So we'll take the win for sure.
And a massive game for Aliir winning the Showdown medal. He's had some games where he's dominated and others throughout the year where he's been on and off, I guess hot and cold. But how big of an addition has he been for this side?
Yeah, it was just the complete performance tonight. He took a heap of marks. He didn't lose any, and he used it well. I think he's certainly added that to our group, and he's had a magnificent year, and he makes our job easier. Unfortunately, it means someone like Tommy Cleary and early in the year, Trent McKenzie is missing out, but he's been magnificent.
I've got to ask, I won't get you to repeat it on air, but your expletive celebration in the receiver.
Yeah.
Was that a shout out to Kaylee McEwen, or was that just a celebration?
Yeah, just been caught up in the Olympic fever this week, and obviously very relieved to get over the line in the last quarter today. And yeah, apologies to any young kids out there that are up past their bedtime watching the Power.
Tom, it's Stephen Williams here, mate. Congratulations on the win. You must be very happy with Willem Drew. He's a young guy that missed most of just about all of last season with that injury, and his ability to come into your midfield now. We always talk about Boki and Ollie Wines, but I thought tonight he wasn't too far behind Alir with his fantastic effort.
Yeah, Drewy's had to show some great resilience to get his opportunity, and he's certainly taken it. I think he's only starting to get the recognition now. For a lot of the year, he's been working really hard. He's a hard tackler. He puts pressure on, and now he's starting to get a little bit of the footy as well. So it's been a great reward for him, and he's certainly an integral part of our midfield along those other names.
And fellow defender Ryan Burton, he's had some body issues over his career, but looks like he's got himself cherry ripe, and his ability to win the ball, but not only that, but pick off that inside kick that he's confident and can hit it from 35, 40 metres really opens the game up. So it's great to see him getting some continuity in his footy and some confidence back.
Yeah, it's great to have Birdo playing 100% every week, and I think he's got that real perfect physique for an AFL footballer, and he's certainly showing that. He's really strong, he's powerful, he's putting it all together. So he just needs to keep focusing on his contest and his work rate, and that's what's got him playing good footy.
Congrats tonight, Tom. Rod Jamison. Just to follow that too, his ability to be able to use the football. He opened up Adelaide from the fence probably on 4 occasions tonight into the centre of the ground.
Yeah, he's very talented, and we knew that when he came to the club. And it's just about getting enough of the ball in his hands and giving those opportunities to take those kicks. And like I said, he's starting to put it together, and I think we've got a really good balance amongst the back line right now.
I know from the outside we always have a view of players, and we see him here play like we did tonight. But, I mean, Ollie Wines' game has elevated so much in the last couple of years.
Yeah, there's always been a lot of pressure on Ollie being a high pick and playing in his first year, and he's always been a tough competitor, and I think he had a couple of setbacks injury-wise, but this year it's just all come together, and he's really leading from the front. He's taken charge in the midfield, and he's shown a real maturity the way he goes about it every single week.
When you critique the opposition and you're coming into Adelaide's game tonight, did you feel that they did things a little bit differently? Not that they surprised you, but I guess what I'm alluding to is I just felt that that first half, they kept the ball alive, which really made it hard from a defence of Port Adelaide to stand your ground or to set up properly. They just kept it alive, which is something I haven't done much of this year.
Yeah, I think we're aware that they're probably going to flick the ball around a little bit more than what they have in previous weeks. But the main thing was that they had their backs against the wall. It's been a tough week for them, and they're a young group, so they're always going to come out and fight. There's not a lot to lose. So we probably didn't match their intensity in the first half, and it took a little spray from Kenny at half-time to really get us going.
Tom, Neil Crossy, how big was the spray? Because we're told that the coaches only have a couple in them per season or whatever. So how big on a scale of 1 to 10 was the spray?
Yeah, it was one of the bigger ones I can remember, and it was certainly well-deserved, and I think it played its part in getting our minds back on the job. So I'd say it's in his top 3 or 4 in his time here. So,
wow.
Yeah, decent.
Well, sorry to butt in here, Crossy, too. We've got Stephen Williams next to us as an old coach too, Tom, and known as the answer up here, and he said he will give them the biggest spray at half-time. So he was well on the mark.
the prophet he knew.
Tommy, the other thing, Ken before the game suggested that, you're not quite where you want to be at the moment, but, obviously you deserve to be where you are on the ladder at the same time. So you have lots and lots and lots of meetings. So what, in your mind, coming out of the meetings and how you look at breakdown games and that, what's missing at the moment, that one single thing?
Yeah, I think we've been building the last couple of weeks, and today we went away from that a little bit. But if I could pick one thing, it would just be the attitude. Port Adelaide footy teams, they play a certain way, and if we don't rock up and do that, then everything can unravel. And I think like I talked about, the first half tonight, we weren't playing that Port Adelaide footy, and we rectified that. So moving forward, we know finals is a contested brand, and that's what this club's built on. So it's going to be about hunting, playing aggressive footy, and getting their hands on it first.
So what has brought on that, do you think, though? The fact that you have sort of lost that attitude from time to time?
Yeah, I think we probably were a little bit complacent going into this week, or even just a couple of weeks away maybe took it out of us a little bit. But we're certainly aware of it, and we'll address it. And sometimes you dodge a bullet like we did tonight, and it's a great reminder without actually having the loss. So we'll take the 4 points, we'll take the showdown win. It's absolutely magnificent, and we'll just enjoy it and get ready for Carlton next week.
Tom, thanks for joining us in our post-game coverage, and congratulations on Showdown 50 and the victory.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for having me.
That's Port Adelaide skipper Tom Jonas, very excited when receiving the Showdown Shield, and Aliir, the Showdown medalist as well in his first year for the club. So Port Adelaide moving to 15-5, 2 games clear in the top 4 after their 4-point victory over the Adelaide Crows, 7-13-55 to 7-9-51. There's been plenty happening in the AFL, but there's also been a lot going on at the Olympic Games, and to update it all for us is Ned Hall. Welcome, Ned.
Aaron, it is all going on at the moment on the athletics track, and also the basketball has just finished. The Boomers have got the bronze medal. Superb performance to beat Slovenia, who would not give it up in that match, kept coming back at them time and time again. So hard to shake off for Australia, but eventually they managed it in the final quarter to run out winning by 107-93. Paddy Mills leading from the front. Australia's flag bearer at the opening ceremony finished with 42 points for Australia. Jarian was 16 points for Australia, and Jock Landale ended up with 14 points. So superb all-round performance. But Australia finally have a bronze medal in the men's Olympic basketball. Meanwhile, there's another medal on the way on the track. Nicola McDermott is one of 3 athletes still in contention for the gold medal. She's set an Australian record. She's cleared 2 metres and 2 centimetres, and along with the Russian athlete Maria Leskene and Yaroslava Mahuchik, the Ukrainian athlete, they're the only 3 athletes left in the competition. Leskene has cleared 2 metres and 2 as well at her first attempt, and McDermott's just failed her first attempt at 2 metres and 4 centimetres. So all still going on the track. A little earlier, no medal for Stu McSween, but a great performance from him to finish 7th in the men's 1500, and Ollie Hoare finished in 11th place in that same event. So it's ending up being a decent final night on the track for Australia, as well as the Boomers picking up that bronze medal in the men's basketball.
Thanks, Ned. Exciting times in the basketball. Paddy Mills,
42.
Great result.
What a
Amazing.
star. Like, in terms of what he's done and accomplished too, and even after that US game, Popovich just gave him a hug, and he really is the go-to guy, isn't he? And he's got another contract as well with a different team.
He's heading to the Nets, yeah.
So he's playing with Kevin Durant. So and he's a big chance to win a title he's already won one with San Antonio. But to go to the Nets when they've got some, arguably 3 of the best half a dozen players in the NBA, so it's exciting times for him.
I saw they went around the playing group. I don't know if you saw the capture or the picture of it, but they did the American team, and they had Kevin Durant was on like $54 million, and they went around to the team, and then they did Australia. It was just this polarising difference between the money.
Well, a couple of those poor Australian paupers, I think. Joe Ingles is only on 19 million.
I know, but I guess I heard. Was it Andrew Gaze talking about, I think, Joe Ingles, like it's just, the threes that he missed, and tonight he obviously sounds like he's hit some, and it made a big difference. It wasn't just relying on one.
Very exciting to get a bronze medal in the basketball. Port Adelaide winners in Showdown 50 here at the Adelaide Oval by 4 points. Rod Jamison, Stephen Williams, your experts, Sarah Bryans and Neil Cross with you for the next 9.5 minutes as we wrap up our coverage. Round 21 to continue tomorrow. We've spoken to Tom Jonas, so let's head down into the Adelaide Crows camp, because Tom Duday has been good enough to join us in what was a really gallant loss in the end. Tom, how do you sum up that game for the Crows?
Thanks for having me. It's gutting. Very tough loss as a group, and we're trying to take the positives, and obviously proud of the effort and the way that we kept fighting and had a chance at the end. But I'd be lying if I said this group wasn't completely gutted at the fact that we didn't come away with the win.
it was such a difficult week heading into the game, and then obviously you didn't find out about the news about Taylor Walker until about 48 hours ago. But how much of an impact did it have in your preparation, and did it almost unite the group heading into tonight's contest?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's obviously not ideal distractions-wise, but I think the last probably 24, 36 hours, we just narrowed our focus on the showdown and tried to make that put that at the forefront of our minds and listen to the coaches with our game plan and execute that and come out and perform. And that's another reason I'm proud of this group, the way that we put all that behind us and come out and played tonight as if we were free and there was nothing on our minds. And I don't know how much it impacted our preparation earlier in the week, but tell you the last couple of days and the last 24 hours especially, we've definitely narrowed our focus, and to come out and perform the way we did is a credit to this group.
Tom, Rod Jamieson, yeah, commiserations, but gee, some of the collisions, it's always, the game's hard enough when you've got a good opposition, let alone taking your own players out.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Jamo. The Nick Murray, Will Hamill one, I was coming back with Georgiadis and heard it and saw it, and it was pretty violent. It reminded me of 2018 when Motlop kicked that goal and McGovern and Dougie come back and hit each other, where it's just that showdown intensity is a finals like, and it's another level. And you obviously don't want to see your own go down or anyone go down for that matter, but that's the level we wanted to play at. That's the intensity we wanted to bring, and unfortunately those things will come with it when you play at that aggressiveness.
Look, the back line, we talk about, Tom, as well, how inexperienced they are, but the ability to attack the footy in the manner in which they did. I thought Chase Jones's night was pretty impressive, except for that last kick in the last 30 minutes, but that doesn't define the way he's developing on the halfback line either.
No, not at all, and he'll learn from that. He's still young in his career, and he's obviously had a bit of trouble at the start of the year. We put him down half back, and the way that he's taken to that and embraced it, he hasn't mumbled about it or been grumpy or trying to find a way to get back to the midfield. He's looked at it and gone, no, let's make this opportunity the best. And I reckon tonight was probably his best game of the year, and that's come off the back of probably 4 or 5 weeks of really hard work and refining his craft. And it's the same with Butsy and Nick Murray and Will Hamill before he went down. They're all really starting to take a step, and again, just so proud of this group, and shattered for our fans we couldn't come away with the win. But the fact that we're young and performing the way we are against what's a premiership contender is something to take away.
Tom, it's Stephen Williams here, mate. Bad luck about the result tonight, but as you mentioned, a couple of your other younger players, I thought Harry Schomburg, just his ability around the ball, he seems to be getting better and better all the time, and just his ability to win the footy and use it is something that's really improving in his game.
Yeah, we saw that from day one from him, to be honest. So we were looking at it going, well, if he can get his body right and his fitness right and really start to get clarity on his role in the team, he can take over. And we saw that with the Rising Star nom a couple of weeks ago, and he's just kept taking that step forward. And I think it's his main thing is his burst out of the contest and his ball use, and that's something that separates him. And wait till he gets a better fitness base and he can continuously get to contests and do that, and he'll start taking over games completely. So we're pretty excited to see where he goes, along with our other younger boys that have been really good.
Yeah, one of those other younger boys, Jordan Butts, you see him alongside of Charlie Dixon, and he's giving away a lot of kilos, but a number of times he actually outbodied him and marked the ball, and Charlie only had the 7 disposals for the night. I thought he had a terrific game.
Yeah, and if you ask Butsy, he'll tell you about the last contest where Dixon got him and kicked the goal, and he'll be gutted about that. So he's someone who he's a perfectionist. He works at his craft, and he just hates getting beaten one-on-one. He doesn't say a lot, and he's pretty quiet around the rooms and on the field, but he's a competitive beast, and that's what's gotten him to where he is. You look at the guys he's taken on this year. Every week he's probably been outsized both in height and weight, but he just finds a way to compete and bring the ball to ground and mark a few, and he's been massive for us, especially for me, knowing that he's back there and he can get the job done. It allows me to play my role, and I don't have to think about helping him out all the time.
Tommy, it's Neil Cross here. You line up next week, hopefully, for your 50th game. I was just looking at that and thinking...
Forgot about that.
Yeah, well, it's a different path that you've taken to... We were talking about Jordan Butts. You spent, 2 seasons basically in the SANFL? Is that right?
Yeah,
before you
correct.
finally got your breakthrough. So the path for Jordan Butts, how much more difficult do you think it has been for him to come straight into this AFL level at his stage and then develop from there, as well as, not just him, but there's quite a few players who've had to come in and develop, whereas you had that opportunity in a stronger side maybe to take your time?
Yeah, I don't think there's any correct pathway, to be honest. I think for me to be able to play in the sample, coming out of a basketball background and only having 2 years of footy behind me, it was probably best for me just to, especially when 2016-17, when we were competing for premierships, it was best for me to develop, get my body right and my kicking right and all those little things. But Butsy did have a year in the sample, his first year in 2019, and I got to coaching. That was the year I did my knee, and he was playing on some bigger bodies then, but sample's a little bit different than AFL in that sense. And last year with the COVID stuff, he didn't really get an opportunity to plant his foot on the in that spot, and Talia was playing, Hardigan was there, and this year he just took that opportunity, and as soon as Talia was out for the year and Hardigan left, he went, oh, this is mine and I'm going to take it. And I think that the year in the sample helped him, and I think last year getting a few games towards the end of the year helped him, but you definitely can't question his competitiveness in his fight. And I think even if you get one year in the sample, 2 years, if you come straight in the AFL, if you've got an intensity and a mindset like him, you're pretty well off.
Hey, Tom, just before we let you go, do you have any updates on Will Hamill and Brodie Smith?
No, unfortunately not. Sorry, fellas. I know Brodie's been in the rooms. He's got a big gash on the top of his head. His hair's basically red. He looks a bit like Riley O'Brien, to be honest, at times when you look at him. But Will Hamill we haven't seen or heard from. So fingers crossed for him. And I know his family and all that would be worried. So yeah, we hope he's all right. He's been through a little bit the last couple of years, and Smithers will just be a regular concussion, I think, and he'll go through the protocol. But yeah, Will's the one we're pretty worried about at the moment. So hopefully he's all good and can come back to finish off the year.
Tom, thank you for your time, and yeah, lift your head. It was a great effort tonight. Unfortunately, not being able to get over the line, but you got very close.
No, I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. That's
Tom Doedee from the Adelaide Football Club. So Port Adelaide winning Showdown 50 by 4 points, 7-13-55 to 7-9-51. Just before we wrap up, Rod Jamieson, Stephen Williams. I should ask Steve this because he was a voter in the Showdown medal. You're 3-2-1.
I gave 1 vote to Harry Schomburg. I gave 2 votes to Willem Drew, and I gave 3 votes to Alia.
Well, there you go. You picked the winner in the end.
I did.
We'll have to wait and see if everyone else agreed with you, but still a good result in the end. Jamo, Steve.
No, it wasn't.
Sorry. Jamo, Steve, thanks as always for your contributions. Thanks to Neil Cross as well, to Simon Rose, to Josh Money down the boundary, and to Andrea Williamson back in the studio. It's Port Adelaide winners of Showdown 50 by 4 points earlier today. Gold Coast defeating Carlton by 19 points. Richmond defeating North Melbourne by 33 points. The news out of the Giants' win over Geelong on Friday night is that Toby Green has been offered a 2-week suspension for striking Patrick Dangerfield, which resulted in a bruised larynx. And Joel Selwood has copped a fine for running past the ball and bumping Sam Taylor, so it seems to have gotten away with something there. In terms of the games tomorrow, round 21 continuing on ABC Sport. Kick things off in terms of our Adelaide audience. SA Grandstand at 12. We'll head into the winners' rooms for that. Following that contest, though, there are 3 games to conclude the round. So Hawthorn up against Collingwood at the MCG. That's the first game of your Sunday football schedule. On top of that, the Western Bulldogs play Essendon at the Docklands. Fremantle up against Brisbane at Perth Stadium. And the round actually concludes on Monday because West Coast host Melbourne at Perth Stadium. So plenty of football to keep you covered throughout the remainder of round 21. But big news for Port Adelaide. 2 games clear in the top 4. A great result for them, winners of Showdown 50 by 4 points. And congratulations to the Adelaide Crows as well for putting up such a great fight. They led for the majority of the evening, but the power winners in the end by 4 points. Thank you for your company. We'll see you next weekend on ABC Sport.